Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Phil's Recap and Review. House of the Dragon, Season 1, Episode 6, The Princess and the Queen. We're 10 years in the future, and this show continues to create characters and make me like them and then kill them immediately. It's giving me that Game of Thrones feel, and then we also have some awkward stuff. Gimpy Strong was a more part of this episode, but we're fast forwarded 10 years in the future with our new characters, and I'm sure everyone has an opinion on what they thought of the new cast, the new people, and everything going on, and we're going to break it all down tonight. Look up on in this episode. I really did enjoy this episode. I did feel, in a way, it felt a little bit like a second pilot for the where the other show happened, and then we're starting things again, but I very much appreciate the performances, specifically Olivia Cook as Alicent. I enjoy her performance better than the first girl, but I'm still, and I love the performance by Rhaenyra tonight, but some part of me missed Millie a little bit, but I'll get over that pretty quick in the next couple of episodes. But what a good episode. A lot of deaths, a lot of people getting burned down in this episode. Daemon is neutered to a certain extent in this episode. We get Daemon, we get everyone, we check in, we get a 10-year gap where a lot of interesting stuff happens in that 10-year gap, but we did get it all filled in. But I am not alone, everybody.
Dude.
That's right. I'm not alone tonight. Tonight, I actually have a guest with me. I have with me tonight the one and only, the Walking David. Welcome to the show, Walking David. How are you tonight, my friend?
I'm good, buddy. It's good to be back.
It is good to have you, and we're also not alone. We have with us the live motherfucking chat. Someone says Phil looks like Harwin. I think we both could be. If we're just going by our appearances, we're probably people that would have died in Harrenhal this evening.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I could see that. I could see where we're both kind of house strong here. But it's great to have David. David joined me a little bit previous in the season audio, but we're bringing him full in. He's dressed in red for House of the Dragon. He's looking happy and happy. Oh, someone says Dirty. What's up, the Dirt? Joe Dirtylocks. I did talk to Joe Dirtylocks this week. He is on the injured reserve list. Everyone sends your best wishes and good vibes to Joe Dirtylocks right now. He probably won't be joining this season, but David's joining in tonight and might pop in again occasionally as well. And we'll also pop in when we get to that other show that starts next week. Jack me off in the live chat with his first super chat. Just said, just to confirm, I wrote that Aegon scene. And we did have a second super chat of the night. Jack me off again. Super chat to kick off the show with a spin of that wheel. Phil, thanks for doing this every week. I'll get up in a second and I will spin the wheel. David, what are your thoughts of the show? I know we talked to you a couple weeks ago, but how are you enjoying this season so far? And what are your first initial thoughts on this episode with the 10-year time jump?
Well, I'll start off with, I think my biggest hot take, no pun intended, is I am kind of digging this show more than Game of Thrones in a lot of ways, and a lot of that has to do with the dynamics between the characters, explaining of history better, and also them speaking that like old English more. I don't know, I just connect more with it. It feels more real, kind of like the first couple of seasons of Game of Thrones did. And I really have been enjoying the season so far. I would say out of all of it, this is probably my least favorite episode, but that's just because I was trying to get adjusted to all the new actors, I think. And I bet upon rewatch or re-listening to it, I'll probably really enjoy it. But I mean, these actors really are killing it on this show, and it's very good so far.
Someone said I can't hear him too much. I turned him up. RJT, let me know if you hear him better when he talks now. I just jacked up his volume a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know.
No, people said, yeah, it sounds more Shakespearean. 8.9 this week. We got LCH Jeremy in the live chat. This is Miguel's first episode. We got Pete, the amazing Pete Easy in the live chat. Yes, David, I hear what you're saying about this episode. I like this episode a lot, but it did feel like, in some ways, a second pilot. And so it had a little bit of that getting used to the switch up thing and kind of just adapting yourself to the show. But I think it started off a little slow in that way, but by the end of the episode, I thought it really hit it home, but brought the intensity up where we got some more like emotional manipulation. We got I keep calling him Gimpy Strong, but you guys know who I'm talking about. That's his name on this show, Gimpy Strong. I don't know the character names as well as you probably do in the live chat, so feel free to correct me. With we got Harwin Strong, which was our tough guy Strong, Lionel Strong, which is the hand Strong, and then Gimpy Strong. I'm not sure of Gimpy Strong's name.
His name is Larys.
Oh, Larys Strong. Okay, thank you.
And the only reason I remember that is because in a review someone says Larys rhymes with Varys. That's literally the only reason I remember it at all.
People say a little bit, say clubfoot. Yeah, Vhagar. We saw Vhagar in this episode who didn't want to burn her at first, but he gave into it. He gave her the dragon's death that she wanted. That was a pretty intense scene. We've seen a lot of really horrifying childbirths this season, and this was another one. And there was always a moment in an episode where some kid gets offered to an adult. In every episode of this season, it happened in this episode too, where one of Daemon's kids kind of jokingly got offered to the guy from Pentos. Hey, you want to marry my young 9-year-old daughter? I mean, every episode has to have at least one element of that in there.
Yeah, and I guess there's got to just be some Westerosi understanding that you can be betrothed to an 8-year-old, but you don't sleep with them till they've flowered.
Yes, thank you for saying that in a sensitive way. And I do have to spin the wheel because of our super chats. So let me spin this wheel. We got Antoine. This show is badass. It feels meta. It does feel like they're aware of the conversations that happened after season 8 of Game of Thrones, and they leaned into it, which is my favorite way of dealing with any, I'm not even gonna say controversy, but when someone really doesn't like something or deals with any sort of negativity, I think the best way of handling it, if someone doesn't like my music or doesn't like my show, like, oh, tell me about it. I want to hear about it. You just lean into it and just be better and learn from it. But was Daemon actually Daemon was kind of a nice guy in this episode. And I know you are someone, David, that appreciates the acting of it all with me. Matt Smith's killing it for me because he's playing a lot of different colors at the same time, playing that deceptive, like evil-ish kind of guy. But then he also has a honor that's in there too, and a sense of his own honor, a sense of trolling as well. So I don't know. What are your opinions on Matt Smith? Because I'm not a big Doctor Who fan, so I was, or what else was he on? The Crown, I believe. I hadn't seen him in a lot of things, so this is my first exposure to Matt Smith. So you mentioned the acting earlier. What are some of your highlights, or what are your opinions on Matt Smith's performance as Daemon?
I hadn't watched Doctor Who ever before. I mean, I've seen clips online like most people have on like Instagram and stuff, but and I know that Doctor Who changes every couple of years or seasons, or I don't really know. But so I can't speak on that. But in this show, I think he's a good actor. I mean, if they didn't want me to like this guy's face, they picked the perfect guy because he's just got such a punchable, smug face. It's like, it's kind of how you feel about Jaime Lannister when you first meet him, and he's sort of smug talking to Ned Stark, and you're like, we grow to like him later because we see how complex he is, but they're doing a good job of setting him up to be this kind of, cocky, entitled prick. But now I think I'm getting to see a little bit more of the maturity to Daemon. You know what I mean? Like, he's clearly grown somewhat in this 10 years, and it's weird that he's almost grown past all the petty stuff, and his wife is trying to bring him back in to the drama of Westeros because she wants to go back home. She misses her brother, and he's trying to, avoid it. So I think his performance is kind of becoming more and more nuanced as the show goes, and I'm starting to enjoy him more. And I mean, like I said, you're not supposed to like him, but maybe he'll turn heel and we'll start to sympathize with him.
Loner Incognito in the live chat says, why does the Walking David look like him? So you're a strong too. You look like our good buddy David, the Walking David. If you want to check out more of the Walking David stuff, he's an amazing impressionist and a really funny guy and a talented actor. You can check him out at is it at David Grayson on TikTok and the Walking David on YouTube to see some YouTube clips.
Yeah, like if you just type in The Walking David, you'll find me on YouTube and you'll find my TikTok and Instagram. If you want to connect that way, it's Mr. David Grayson, no period, and you're good to go.
And we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but David has, we talked about this last time, but he's going to have a special, you might see him on some stuff coming up soon, doing some commentary for some bull riding, I believe, or rodeo stuff coming up soon. We'll tease that later. Speaking of the pig that we saw, our favorite dragon of the night, the pig dragon that they presented to that poor mouth breathing kid. Oh my goodness! But I don't know what comes of all these characters. I think David and I are both pretty much we've maybe know some of the fine points of what's going to happen in this storyline because of it's mentioned throughout the Game of Thrones series, but we're kind of ignorant to where these characters go in the future. And he looks like he's going to be the most badass of between him and his brother. If we're going to the Lestat, the friggin' Aegon looked like a douchebag. Like he was you look up douchebag in the dictionary. He's like Viserys from the original series.
Right.
He has that sort of pompous, but even worse because he's like, I don't want to be king. Challenge Rhaenyra. I don't care about that. I just want to like jerk off out the window and have some fun.
Yeah, he's the Ringo Starr of the Targaryen family at
Absolutely.
the moment. I just want to have some fun. Shout out Dewey Cox. But yeah, I know that he's, he had that one Targaryen. I forget her name. I think it starts with an N. That's so bad. I have no idea what any of the girl Targaryens' names are. But she's like playing with that like centipede or millipede or something, and
she's like messing with her with her hand, and
she goes, he'll have to lose an eye to ride a dragon.
Yep.
You said, oh sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, is she the seer from Vikings or something?
Yeah, I just saw like a random clip of the show, and so I actually know who you're talking about, but I have not seen that show, and I need to catch up on that. I get to go back, everybody, and watch like years of Phil reviewing the Vikings.
Oh no, that's like, listen, David, this is Floki. Are you ready to take our first voicemail of the night, David?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, I have David on the screen. But here we go. This is from our good buddy Pete's Live Music. I do need to say a couple of quick huge thank yous to two of our channel members, Apulia, who's supporting us at the 8th bag of support. Thank you so much. Cannot thank you enough. And thank you to Heath Hinton, who's also in the live chat right now, all of our channel members. And I think Sonic is also in the live chat. That means so much to us. You can play with some custom emojis, you get weird tags next to your name and all that kind of stuff. And I also want to say huge thanks to Apulia, who is going all in for the full ounce of support here on the channel. So thank you so much for that support. It means more than you know, especially now. And now let's get to Pete's Live Music.
We'll just finish the episode. And I had the thought running through my head this whole episode. And there's some really great scenes, some ass scenes, but some epic dragon shit. That's fucking awesome. But here's the thought that kept running through my head. Here's the question. Does this show have too much shit in it? Too much, right? Too many characters, too many houses, too many relationships, too much shit going on. I think I would like the show better if there wasn't so much shit going on. How do you keep track of it? I don't know. All right, man.
So could this be, do you think in any way, is this a too many cooks situation? Do we have too many interesting characters? I think for my benefit, the pacing of the show works to the advantage of introducing new characters. And so far, even though there's times, even between the last episode and this episode, there's just so much stuff I would have liked to see. I feel like the way that they're pacing out this show from dramatic moment to dramatic moment is working for me. So I can't complain too much about it. And I think that pacing works to the show's advantage in the way it introduced so many characters. How about you, David? What do you think about what the caller said?
Well, that was the same complaint that I had and that a lot of people had when Game of Thrones first started was, how are you going to keep up with all these names? How are you going to keep up with all these families and their house words and their sigils? And like, Game of Thrones was kind of overwhelming in that regard as well, except the names kind of, once they got into the culture and kind of the communal lexicon, you know what I mean? It becomes a little bit easier to remember them, and remembering the houses and stuff. The more we hear it, the less weird it will seem.
Mm-hmm.
And because the names are a little bit more bizarre because they're more ancient, and the more ancient names had a lot more difficult spelling and everything like that. Like, I'm probably never going to spell Rhaenyra right in my life. You know what I mean? And was it Viserys or whatever her son's name? Yeah, like it's like King Jaehaerys and Jacaerys and all of these things. It's going to be super difficult to like spell these things, but once you get used to hearing it, I think it'll be easier. And plus, as certain characters get killed off and new ones are introduced, they will probably be easier to remember because they're going to be fan favorites. Yeah. Like the Hightowers were not a big name in Game of Thrones, but the Starks are, and the Baratheons are, and the Lannisters are. You know what I mean? So everybody's going to remember the names that they are more accustomed to hearing. So as we go on, I think it'll be easier. But for me at the moment, I don't think it's too much. I just think it's different. They're different houses than we're used to hearing being focused on.
Yeah.
And once we get used to it and, another few episodes or another season, I think you'll be good.
Yeah. And I also think that there is a couple of names that are mildly similar, but I think where we have like the two kids of Corlys's names are similar, and Rhaenys and Rhaenyra are similar names, so it does blend for some casual viewers that might be watching it for the first time. But I definitely don't think I'm overwhelmed with characters at this point. I feel like I care more about characters being fleshed out and interesting. Keep them coming, keep them cycling in as long as you keep them interesting. I think Vikings is an example of a show where we've talked about before, where when the main character disappeared on the show, when they introduced new characters, they weren't as interesting as the old characters. As long as you keep cycling in more people that are equally as interesting and better, I am okay with it. Walking David, we have a super chat donation for you, but I'm not sure if you're going to know the answer to this question, but this is from the amazing Antoine. Walking David, Phil, are we surely seeing this Dance of Dragons as a long war followed up by Aegon the Fourth inheriting the strategy, leading the Blackfires? So, David, I guess the generalized question for this is, how long do you think this series will go? Do you think this will just handle this initial Targaryen civil war and then end, and then we'll deal with other issues in other series? Or do you think they'll take this series and almost turn this into a Targaryen anthology series where they go through history to the present time, almost through every Targaryen big event? I tend to think it's more going to just be this event, and then we're going to move on to different series. But what do you think?
Oh, well, interesting. I thought what was going to happen is that it was going to be the second option that you said, where it was going to go through kind of Targaryen history. And they chose to start at this date as opposed to, 300 years ago, just because it would be so much information and they would have to put so much more time and effort into it. They didn't bother. So they were like, instead of starting the full time back where like ancient Valyria before it fell, let's start halfway. And then we're going to do time jumps probably of 10 years, 20 years. We're going to jump into people's reigns. And I think every season is going to be like a new king's reign. And so I think there will be lots of time jumps, but it might be to the show's benefit, actually, unlike other shows, because there's so much history that people are eager to see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, guys, if they skip enough in their later seasons, they could actually be showing the rebellion with Robert Baratheon literally fighting Rhaegar on the Trident, and that could be in the last season of the show, because then it leads into the first season of Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? And if that's in your last season, the thing that everybody wants to see, then this show is going to be a smash hit the entire time.
Yeah.
It's just going to have amazing thing after amazing thing and super, super compelling story for the entire length of the series.
I mean, that's the difficult thing, or the interesting thing that's going to happen here. If they decide to just keep the series as 3 or 4 seasons, then it puts a lot of pressure on the next series to live up to it again and keep living it up. They may want to try to keep this going as long as possible. Either way, I think we're getting some great television that is awesome, and it's something that I wasn't sure if we'd be in this position again, and I'm very excited about that. Let's get into the live chat. Season 8 will be the birth of Phil of House Issues. Allison is getting her Cersei vibes. Now says Pete Easy. We've got so many folks, 75 folks in the live chat right now. If each one of you could hit that like button, share this out, help this get to more and more folks, would definitely appreciate that. But we appreciate every single one of you guys choosing to join us here tonight. We know there's a lot of choices out there, a lot of awesome folks streaming right now. We got Igor in the live chat. I believe it's 3 or 4 as well, depending on the chapters go around, and I hope they bring other Targaryens. So it says, Phil, ask Preston. He's got all the names. Absolutely. Lots of love to my good buddy Carmine in Preston. I might pop over there afterwards, if not next week, but definitely check out their live stream as well. Crispy definitely needs to sit on the couch. We need to get Crispy some couch time. He's probably my least favorite character on the show, and it's not because the actors portraying a character that I'm supposed to hate the character. I actually don't like the actor's performance of the character. He's like a pompous douche nozzle. And maybe that is a good performance. I never know how to judge that, because it's a fine line between someone, because, you know, again, when you act, you're for the most part, one of the secrets, at least for me anyways, in the way that I try to act, is I got to find a piece of myself in it. Think about it with that magic if, the what would I do in that situation? And then I attribute it to the character. So whenever I see someone be a pompous douche nozzle, I'm like, somewhere inside them, are they really a pompous douche nozzle? So I question that. Yes, David?
And, well, you said Crispy. Who are we talking about again?
Criston Cole, the guy that got into the fight.
Oh, that's right. Crispy. Okay, sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay.
I thought that's who you meant, but I was just like, did I miss somebody and the nickname is Crispy? Have
you ever played a dick in a movie or play or something like that? Have you ever played a real asshole?
Well, it would not be a stretch.
I know you're a little off camera, David. Yeah, of course.
It would not be a stretch. Like, I would relish it so much. Like, it's just, I do have a feeling like this actor is probably quite, you know, lovely in interviews and in person, and he's probably a good guy or whatever. But there's no way. I mean, that guy is a beautiful man, so there's no way that he's not extremely vain. Because, I mean, the dude looks like fucking Aladdin in satin armor. I mean, like, it's just...
Ain't never had a friend like me.
And the whole point of his character is that he does have a bit of an ego, even before he, like, slept with the princess and is now jealous. You know, when he says to Daemon, when they go to retrieve the dragon egg, like, perhaps my prince remembers when I knocked him off his horse. You know what I mean? Like, he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder.
In a not a real fight. And when Rhaenyra asked him if he was ever betrothed to someone earlier, he goes, "No, I was a man whore. Yeah, I had my years where I was a man whore, but no, I wouldn't settle for anybody."
Yeah, and it's also, like, you know, the fact that he thinks that he could steal her away and get her to leave everything behind.
Yes, so
I mean, that's a lovely thought, but there also is a bit of arrogance there, because as humbled as he was to be brought into the Kingsguard, he's now, just after having slept with her, and it's only been, you know, what, a couple weeks or a month or something like that, he's like, run away with me to help restore my honor.
I think it was. That's where it was supposed to be years, but either way, David, I think it's absolutely a very clear point. I want to jump in the live chat to get some of these comments because they're fucking hilarious. We got Tulkas, great to see. Girl Nettles, great to see you. Audrey, Phil, you're awesome. No, you're awesome, Audrey. Dracarys, bitch. Viserys needs to show some balls. We'll get to Viserys in a second. Sir Cuck Cole, crispy nozzle says jack me off. Leanna immortalized tonight. Oh, we'll talk about her, Tulk. That was a great way to go out. She went out the dragon's way. Crispy is pompous. Killmonger says, be nice to the dark-haired children, Crispy. Rishi says, his balls must have fallen off. Jackie C says, I'm not pompous. Oh, thank you. You're sweet. Pete Easy says, George R. Martin's is developing well. Jack Me Off, a.k.a. Crispy Cream, Crispy Chode, Crispy Cop. He's a chode, a dark Aladdin. Didn't Daemon call him Sir Crispon on the bridge? Yeah, and it's stuck. I stuck with the crispy thing, and I just kept going with it. Let's go to another voicemail. This is from area code 773.
Lord Phil, it is Roger Snow calling again. Just seeing the episode. I don't doubt that it was. I couldn't enjoy the episode because of Aegon pulling
his putt in the window. I was wondering what you're laughing about because great. I'll play the rest of your message, but I'm like, oh, what? He's like, couldn't concentrate on the episode. They did start us off with a Homelander like moment. I was wondering what that reminded me of, David. Yeah. I don't know if you've watched The Boys, but it was definitely a Homelander like moment.
It's a total Homelander. I've got the world by the balls, literally.
Literally.
And that's so bizarre. And what's weird is that Alicent's reaction was like, he's done this plenty of times before.
I know. It wasn't like when I was young, I hate to admit, my grandmother walked in on me once and she freaked out. She freaked the F out, like what are you doing? You're disgusting, blah, 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 blah. Like Alicent just walked in and goes, he's jerking off in the window again. I mean, I guess that's the most efficient way to dispose of it. Like that's the cleanliest way to do it, I guess.
I mean, in King's Landing, I guess.
Yeah, why? Pete Easy goes, why window wank? He doesn't want to. Napkins aren't a thing in this world or something. Like he needs to.
Dude, the fresh breeze on your balls would definitely facilitate things. But you know, the immediate being yelled at by your mother, and she doesn't even acknowledge it, which is worse. It's even if he does it all the time, it's worse that she doesn't even bother to acknowledge it because it's happened so many times. It's just like. You know, did you pick on your brother while he's like mid jerking off? And like, I'm surprised he didn't just keep going.
Jonathan
At that point, it's like, well, why even stop?
Ooh, Jonathan McMahon says, Phil, I don't know about you. You've seemed sus lately. I think we have an imposter. You're not the real Phil. It's very possible. I could have been taken over by an alien. I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't be the strangest thing that happened on this show, David. We used to have a talking crow. I mean,
that's true. We did have a talking crow.
We did have a talking crow in the show. Anything can happen here. Hey, Phil, can you hit the 859 voicemail? I will get to that next. That will be my next voicemail, JC. Tulks, who cares who's the father is? Those strong boys. Kill those Targaryens. I'm telling you, the Hightower seat is weird. Yeah, there's some weirdness going on with those kids. Those kids are seem a little off, a little Joffrey, a little. I don't know. People. It's an easy comparison to me. He reminded me more of the albino in The Princess Bride that tortures Wesley, but something like cross between that and Homelander. But anyways, let's play the rest of this message.
Homelander.
He actually said
it. Half of the episode was just me going back to that. I can do anything I want.
Wait, I forgot this from last time. This caller puts his own beeps in.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to you, dude. I mean, like you said, he must have a soundboard that he's making the call through. That or he has a YouTube clip of a beat pulled up.
If it's that second one, that's extra special effort. You gotta give that person very, very much credit. Someone says Travis says from that height that the jerking off might kill you. Very, very good point as always by Travis. Someone said I forgot it. Oh, I forgot that was the Homelander. Okay, let's do area code 859.
Hey, Phil, can you or anybody for that matter tell me what's going on with the fucking free cities and lease and what the fuck they're talking about? I have no idea what the fuck they're talking about, who they're fighting or why the fuck they're getting ready to go to war. Makes me think that there is a little too much sometimes.
I love how the caller paused there for a second. Like I wanted the caller to say, "I'm waiting. Tell me what to tell me."
Yeah,
tell me
I'm waiting. I'm still on the line.
I'm still on the line waiting, guys.
With this free city shit, but the Targaryen stuff is good, but they need to explain more with this free city shit because I have no idea what the fuck is going on with that. Or why it's important.
Very, very fair in the sense too for the people that maybe didn't read Fire and Blood so closely and maybe not know exactly what's going on and all of that. To me, it seems like there's influence going on. It's an area that is sort of on the border that connects, like a water pathway that kind of connects Essos and Westeros, or it's a pathway that goes there. So controlling that controls some of the trade between the two continents, and again, I could be wrong about this. So people that are experts on this, feel free to correct the fuck out of me here. And some of the more successful or rich families from Essos, or organizations, are trying to lay their influence on that. In one situation, Braavos was trying to marry one of their kids to Corlys to connect to Old Valyria. There is a couple of other situations, like in this episode, they're trying to get Daemon to lay residence and have him and his whole family with all the dragons start like solving some of the problems over there in Pentos and give them a place to live forever in that situation. So I think it's just a big hodgepodge of messes of control. And then also Dorne got mentioned in this episode in association with it, that you can't trust the Martells. So there's a lot going on there. I don't know if I just confused things more than I explained it. David is someone like me that maybe doesn't know the material as well, the source material. How do you put together what's going on in the Stepstones and with stuff with the Free Cities?
Well, I haven't read Fire and Blood, but I did brush up on my Targaryen history and lore videos that HBO put out ages ago. In those videos, it doesn't really address the Free Cities all that much. I actually feel like that's addressed more in Game of Thrones than it's addressed in the show so far. But I think that's part of the point, is that nobody really knows what's going on in those cities except for the people who live there, and they're only getting whispers of things that are happening. And it's like the only time it seemed like something was brought to their attention was when that crab feeder guy, was killing people on the Stepstones. But the only reason that I think that that's even coming into play is because that guy was sort of almost saying it without saying it directly, that, if you wanted to rule this area, we would support that if you helped us out. You know what I mean? Like you would have Pentos, you would have Dorne, there are people who support you because of your dragons and what you can bring to the table. And they know that he's a guy who takes action. And it seems like he's trying to just milk it for gold. But even his own wife is sort of like, we were made for more than this. And we were made basically to rule. And we should be doing that. So they're kind of just getting pulled as to where they should rule or how they should live their lives. But hopefully as it goes, it'll be explained a little bit better. Because I agree, my eyes kind of glaze a little bit when they start talking about the Free City.
Yeah, I'm almost like Viserys the king. I'm like, can we just shut up about the damn Stepstones?
When are we gonna be rid of these fucking Free Cities?
Yeah, fuck that. As I fall apart and look like Dan Aykroyd in that movie, Nothing But. I think it's called Nothing But Trouble. Girl Nettle says, is that what it's called, Nothing But Trouble? Basically,
Yeah.
Daemon ended the war by killing the crab feeder, but Dorne decided to be a bitch and started the war again by aligning with the free cities. Thank you, Girl Nettle, for being way more succinct and educated than David or I about the source material, so that you could end this in a sentence. And I'm like talking, I'm like, and then the city person went over here and did this with this, and then Goofy had sex with Weird Al, and it was a big party in the USA. Sorry, David. David goes, what show am I being on? Sonic says, I remember that rant that Joe did about Superman pissing from the Fortress of Solitude and drowning Batman. Yes, that's actually, you can see that video on its own. It's called, that's one of the few Joe rants I actually clipped out. Again, make sure you check that out, and hopefully we'll see Joe back before the end of The Walking Dead. Phil, are these kids worse than the Muppet Babies on The Walking Dead? No. I'm on Team Black, but I'm starting to see Aemon in a new light. Dude was badass. I did like the kid. He was my favorite of the kids. Just the one that didn't have a dragon, and he got the pig with the wings. He got the Pink Floyd pig, and then he walked down to the dragon pit. And I loved how the dragon saw the little kid coming down and could have killed him with a dragon blast, but instead decided to just fuck with him, like tease him like when I walked into the wrong restaurant or something, and the guy at the bar was like, "Fuck you, get out of my restaurant" or something, and like scared me as a kid, and I ran off. The dragon just spooked him for a second and ran off.
Yeah, seeing that dragon again was just like his version of jerking off in the window. You do it every day, and you get yelled at by your mother.
David, I saw you think about that joke like for 3 minutes ago, and you're like, shut up, Phil. I don't want to forget this. Just
I want to squeeze this in somewhere.
Yeah, that's what the dragon said. Okay, Bloody Talker says. Sorry,
I'm gonna get a glass of ice. I'll be right back.
Please do. Let's get to the Bloody Talker's message. Let me push this down right there. Here we go. This is goodbye, the Bloody Talker.
Well, I think we've learned a couple things about Westeros, Phil. Rule number 1. Fights are okay as long as you finish them. If you kill the other person, no big deal.
Yep.
Bracken Blackwood, kill the guy. No big deal. Crispy, beat that dude's face in the wedding. You got to make sure you finish the fight, though. But my man Harwin, defends a child getting bullied, and he's got to, fucking flee. Jeez, man. I don't get some of the logic here going on. Aegon, the other thing we learned is Aegon.
But you're right, Bloody Talker, he didn't kill him. And we got Tony Teflon in the live chat. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to Teflon TV, my partner in crime over there. And Tony's right. As we were saying earlier, Aegon was pulling the full Homelander. He was up there and pissing off, jerking off in the world because the world is his. But I think at core, this kid does not seem like he has the same bad disposition or insanity as Homelander. If we're comparing him to a character, he seems like more of, I just want to hang out and get drunk and jerk off out the window. He didn't care about becoming the king. He didn't care about Rhaenyra's situation. All he wants to do is be in that window, David. That's all he wants.
Yeah, and as we've seen, it's it can be a very good trait to see people be kings who don't want to be kings, because they're not concerned with the power struggle. They're just concerned with doing their duty to their family. And people who, follow honor and duty and code, they usually will have fairly decent lives for the most part until they meet somebody who is hyper concerned with power and struggle, and then they get horribly taken advantage of, which is what we see with Viserys, right? He had 10 years of unmitigated peace, but that was only because he was keeping his brother at bay by sending him away to the Vale or giving him different jobs and moving him around and kind of distracting him and keeping his eye on him. But the moment he doesn't, all of a sudden, he's starting to act up, and he even gets told to his face that he's weak, which would be a killable offense, brother or not. You know what I mean? And so sometimes it's good that people don't want to be king, and other times it's their complete downfall because they're not paying attention to all the knives in the shadows that are out to kill them.
Does the best king want to be king, do you think? Or is the best king think he's not worthy of the position of king and constantly tries to struggle to be a better person?
I think it's kind of a Jon Snow effect where it's like other people elect you as king and you begrudgingly accept because it's an honor to be selected, but it's not something most kings that I think seek it out usually end up dead or destroying their family for the most part.
Vic in the live chat is jumping on the point that you made, David, and it is a great point that Allison didn't even blink when she walked in on him jerking off in the window. This is not something that he was doing for the first time. This is a regular occurrence. This is number one, he goes to the bathroom and Pete. Number two, and then number three is stand in the window and jerk off to the world, do the Homelander, and that's just. And Allison just came in, was like, oh, whatever. He was more freaked out that she was there because I don't care who, like, seeing your mom in that situation, I don't even care even if you're a Targaryen, it's gonna be kind of like, oh, like it's gonna ruin the situation. But she was so calm about it, and then she got whoa crazy in that moment when he's like, Succession King, I don't care about Succession, I think Better Call Saul should have won the Emmy, I don't give a crap about Succession, fuck that shit, and she's just going on and like whatever, and then she's like, no, shut the fuck up, David. You shut the fuck up now.
You listen to me, you masturbating little shit.
You're gonna be the fucking king. You think you can be friends with those kids? You think Rhaenyra's not gonna kill you? Because I would kill her kids if I got a chance. And
you may jerk off in the high tower, but you don't jerk off this high tower.
Not this one. Definitely not.
I was also thinking about that joke for about 30 seconds, but
that one took me off guard, David. I usually try to go and yes and go off, but that one stopped me in my trap. You win, sir. That was great. I'm not blind. These aren't Rhaenyra's biological, but he is legally theirs. Vito, what the fuck is there a joke in there? I'm late. Did anyone else notice that that's the window? Oh, was it the same window that Tormund jumped out of? Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's what I noticed. At least I thought it was the same one. It looked the same.
Yeah, at least something important went out that window tonight. I don't know. Nothing important went out.
I can't wait to see another Alt-Shift-X about the parallels between this show and the...
David, could you give us a little preview of that, possibly?
Oh God, I have to remember how he talks.
Okay, you can mute for a second if you want to do some practice.
It's just like, as you see here, Aegon, he hungers for something, but for what? For cum? For glory? For the throne?
Thank you. So that's a little excerpt from the future Alt Shift X video coming up. Then how did Ramsay get legitimized, and what about Stannis? Okay, the live chat's having a good conversation right now. Pete Easy says the royal nut out the window. Dracarys bitch says Allison views her children as chess pieces, not as human beings. She got that from her father because that's exactly the way her father looked at her, with affection, but ultimately as a chess piece to control in any way you want. Why was Aegon jerking off out the window? I love how this is probably going to be what we're going to be talking about most of the night, but I think it's the most important scene because who knows the bastards he's creating in that situation. He's a dragon's living outside. His dragon might live outside that window. Why was he doing that? I think just because when you're in that position and you have that much power, just like as Tony mentioned in the live chat and we said earlier too, doing the Homelander thing. The reason Homelander does that is because nothing else gives him a thrill. Because when you have that much, when everyone's telling you, when your mom's shoving so much sunshine up your ass and telling you you're going to be king, and just pushing and pushing and pushing, he's not normal things don't give you a thrill, David.
Wow, that young already. Already that jaded. Too much porn will do that. But it's.
I was talking about that earlier, actually.
Yeah. I think the only thing that even is supposed to mean, other than the fact that he's just doing that, is that he'll probably be one of the kings in the history books that fathers a bunch of bastards or something. And it's because he's a sexual deviant and sleeps with everybody, and that's like their way of going, look, even as a kid he was just a horny little fuck out the window jerking off every day.
Yeah, I mean, I think also from a scene standpoint, to your point, David, they need to make that clear, and just having him just do that, I don't care, we're gonna get deep with this. If from a creative filmmaking standpoint, if you want to show that he's a little deviant, he's a little pushy, he's a little whatever, if you just show him doing that, like most people are going to be doing that. I mean, that's something that most people do. Most people masturbate at some point in time in their life when they're younger. When they're at that point, they masturbate with frequency, or when they're alone, they masturbate with frequency. So to show that he's extra deviant and extra crazy, they had to bring that up a level. And by bringing it up a level, you have him jerking off out the window. And to do a little callback, you make it the window that Tommen jumped out of, just for fun.
Yeah, or just to show the contrast of the type of people. Like Tommen used it as a way to kill himself, and this guy's so confident and cocky, he's literally jerking off in the same window.
Yes, exactly. Jacking it to you, San Diego. Exactly, Jonathan McMahon in the live chat. 100%. So we got a couple of text messages. Let's read these text messages. We got Heath Hinton in the live chat. He was trying to hit the turtle stew cooking in the outside kitchen from the window. Heath Hinton, oh my goodness. But you're probably right. Allison's boys are wussies, and she wants them to be the lions and they're grasshoppers. Rhaenyra's kids are aggressive and more like alpha personalities and strong personalities than Allison's. I mean, it definitely seems that way, but as the younger strong kids seem to have a little bit more push to their physical strengths because of who their father is and his power. But I don't know. I think we shouldn't sleep on Aemon. Aemon seems like even in that scene with the sword, he seemed to be the most capable one of all four of them. So I don't know if that's going to hold true when they get older. Again, I don't know spoilers about that other than know the name and know what David hinted at earlier, just because I've heard him referred to many times as Aemon. Block your ears if you don't want a spoiler. One eye. So I know that that's coming at some point in time, but I don't know where he fits into the story and how badass he ends up being. But with a name like Aemon One Eye, I assume he's a badass. You kind of have to be, David. It's just like if you're called Big John Studd or King Kong Bundy, you kind of have to be able to kick ass.
For sure. I'm hoping he's gonna kick ass. Hey, listen, man. I am all down for epic sword fight scenes and seeing people battle. I'm more into that than just the dragon stuff. So, because that's kind of, it's like in Yu-Gi-Oh! You pull a blue eyes white dragon, the game's pretty much over. It's like...
Fuck you, Seto Kaiba. Now, I don't... But in fairness, too, as much as I appreciate the way the dragons look in these series, and this was a great dragon episode, and I'm not poo-pooing dragons, I hear what you're saying, David, because for me, I'm the same way. I'll always be more moved when I'm watching something with some more practical energy. So if you see two people sword fighting and you know that there's actually swords banging and you can feel the energy of it in the scene, rather than two computer-generated creatures fighting each other, no matter how realistic they look. I think the height of whatever, I'm going to sound like back in my day going through the snow was the use of both practical, and I like minis. I like some of the stuff like that, but the dragons look great. And I'm not going to take away. I think the CG on the show has been absolute top notch, but ultimately it's still two computer generated things. I feel stronger about it emotionally when I'm watching two humans in the scene actually interact and fight.
If the human interactions are taken more seriously, then the CGI moments will have way more impact and will actually resonate with people, because you'll understand why it's important that dragons are involved.
Yeah.
If there is not good interpersonal dialogue with people and there's not that tension and drama, if you don't have those scenes with the small council or the spies and discoveries and all these, backdoor alley things, then the dragon stuff means nothing. It's just spectacle. You know what I mean? It's like Marvel movies with special effects. You know what I mean? Like you can enjoy that, but the reason you enjoy that is because of 10 years of character development.
Yes.
Not because, wow, fire looked cool.
And don't get me wrong. As much as CG is CG. I don't want to see someone dressed up in a dragon Godzilla costume in Mothra, seeing all these dragons with minis and stuff. I mean, that would be funny. I'd like to see you and me make a movie of like Game of Thrones where we're doing all like minis and people dressed in big costumes and stuff. We have Joe being Drogon or something.
Yeah, that's like that SNL sketch.
Yeah, I mean, it would be fun. That stuff's fun, and I think if you do that stuff at the height of it, it looks really good. Stuff that was done in some of those movies on the cusp of when CG took over, when they were at like the height of what you could do, something even like Total Recall or something. Like you can really see what you can do with practical stuff mixed with a little bit of CG, and some stuff does it now. Or character generated kind of stuff. I don't want to just call it like all CG. It's sort of a blanket term for that stuff. That being said, everything has looked amazing in this show, and they're getting better at it every day in doing this kind of stuff. I just, as much as no matter how realistic it's going to look, I'll always feel more energy watching something that's real swords clashing or real energy of two people battling rather than computer generated stuff. It is what it is.
Right. Well, let's put it this way. Like the sword fight between, it's not even the best sword fight in Game of Thrones, but just because we know the history and we've seen them talk to each other, when Ned Stark and Jaime Lannister fight each other,
yeah,
finally, I mean, it is satisfying such a big itch because we've had all of these great scenes between them just discussing things and kind of sizing each other up. We know their history. We know how they view each other. And we know that, Jaime kind of yearns for his respect. And we don't know about why he killed the king and why he's called the Kingslayer yet. So we kind of hate him.
Ooh.
And we also know how noble Ned is and how he's also said, like, when I fight a person for real, I don't want them to know what I can do. And so you get to see that, play out. And that's why that fight is so impactful. If Ned was some hothead and was fighting everybody he saw, we would just be like waiting until he eventually fought Jaime. But the fact that he finally did pull a sword on somebody and it was Jaime the first time, that was amazing.
Now, Jonathan says, Phil, can you front me that? Of course. I'll give it to you on the cuff. I'll make sure of it. Someone else earlier said something like, Phil, what the fuck? I don't know what I did to symbolize the what the fuck. I apologize for myself. David is not responsible for the things I say. I'm not sure what kind of shit's coming out of my mouth today, but it might happen. Killmonger says Jaime would have beaten Ned if he didn't get interrupted. I believe that Jaime, I've long hold out that Jaime was going a little easy on him because he knew that if Ned died, Tyrion would die in that situation. So he was trying to not kill Ned as quick, but people can say what they want to say. Ned also put up a good fight against Arthur Dayne for a few seconds there until someone could sneak up behind him and stab him in the back. Anyways, and then he gave Jaime shit about it. We got Fernandez T in the live chat. We got Tulk. We got IC Fury. We got Jonathan. Thank you so much. Pete Easy, Vic, Igor. We got over 100 folks in the live chat right now. If all of you guys can hit that like button if you haven't already, and hit that share button and share this out to some friends to help get even more and more folks in here. We very much appreciate it. Larys is the most dangerous man on the show. So far, I agree. He seems to be the most capable manipulator. We've seen a lot of bumbly manipulations or obvious manipulations. He seems to be the most competent one we've seen on this show so far that I would compare to Varys and Littlefinger level manipulation. And this was a good episode for Larys Gimpy Strong. It was a really good episode for him.
It was. I mean, they've done such a good job of making him seem super dislikable. Like I found Varys and Littlefinger's dynamic way more charming than this, just because of their byplay. But we'll probably get that eventually because I can't imagine he's going to be the only person pulling the strings here. Because the real good stuff is going to come with somebody has equal knowledge to him, and then matches his intelligence. So when he had the conversation, like Varys and Littlefinger, oh my God, that's really why they called him Larys. is Varys and Littlefinger combined to
Oh,
Larys.
I didn't even think. Yeah, that's clever, George R. R.
Wow.
Martin. Yeah.
Okay, well, if you did that House of Dragon, that's dumb as fuck.
Oh, that's George. We got to George named these people.
Well, if you had Larys, when I think of Larys, I like to imagine his gimp foot, and I like to imagine the beetle on his cane, and I really want to feel his cerebral palsy when he walks, and yeah.
Let's go to the voicemail. Great job, David. People wanted we got a couple of requests for your for a couple of impressions, so we got a George impression. I knew something was off with him when he chose to sit with the ladies and go to the tea. We got X says that was so legit. That was hilarious. Big power. Drag for Phil. Thank you so much for the chat. I See Furious is great. George R. R. Martin. It was great to have George R. R. Martin here. Varys also cut tongues out of the little birds in the books. That's what it was. A beetle. Is that a strong symbol? Maybe.
All right, I've got a new theory here. The reason why Nettles is able to ride a dragon later is because she's actually a bastard child of Aegon when he's been jacking it all out of the window. Okay? He's been jacking it into Molestown. And
I think the caller's on to something.
Shit. Flea Bottom.
Flea Bottom, yep.
He's been jacking it into Flea Bottom out of and somehow he got someone pregnant. And then that is Nettles' mother. All right, peace.
We got Noreen in the live chat who says, I haven't watched one episode, but David, with these impressions, I'm going to hit a like just for this algorithm. Thank you so much, Noreen. That means so much to me. Thank you to everyone that's checking us out tonight on a busy night. I know after every episode of Game of Thrones, so many much bigger channels than us over here are streaming live right now. So we appreciate you guys coming over here and checking our silliness out. As David will be back in a moment, and here we go. So let's get to a oh God, the Bloody Talker, that's you on the call. We love you, Jonathan. Somehow I accidentally landed into some yeah, exactly, Vic. Somehow it jumped on a banana peel and it landed in some lady's vagina. That's what the Bloody Talker is saying. That somehow his ejaculate did a triple SoCal double flip and landed perfect into a woman in Flea Bottom's uterus and impregnated her. I believe that is exactly what the Bloody Talker is implying. Well,
really quick, refresh me. I heard the name in the episode, but who's Nettles?
It's a character that's going to be introduced probably next season. Again, this is something more for people that know the material a little bit more, but it is a character that's going to be introduced.
Okay, because
maybe at the end of this season.
I've heard the name before this episode, and I just don't recall how I know it, so I just hope it gets filled in. So.
Jackie C says Nettles is from Dragonstone. We got Fernandez T in the live chat. We got Hold in the live chat too. Says Vhagar is old as fuck. Where did he come from? Was Vhagar just parked there? I would have definitely liked to have seen Lena getting Vhagar. That would have been fun to watch. We got a couple more voicemails to play right now, and then we'll get into our recap. Here we go. Here is the one and only Antoine Thomas.
Hello, Phil, and to the Walking David. How are you doing this evening? Phil, I was wondering, because I saw the show, and it was really badass, and I enjoyed it. But I liked how the way all of this is setting up for the war. And like I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say it because I know y'all don't like spoilers, but I've been reading the books and I just can't. I'm obsessed with the future of these books. First of all, you got, and Walking Navy listening, Do you think the Dance of the Dragons is a precursor to the Blackfire Rebellion? It's all connected. So we've been given the best war, and Walking David is reporting this on the news. You make a good news guy. We need a news anchor here tonight, and that is Walking David. Thank you, Phil.
So,
That voicemail is coming live from his closet because he doesn't want to wake his wife and kids.
he's making sure he's keeping the voice down and everything like that.
Wanted you all to know what I was thinking about. It was so soft and nice about it.
I know, it's so smooth, so smooth.
Very soothing. ASMR voicemail.
So I don't know if we're gonna get Blackfire Rebellion on this show. I think we might get more of that stuff in the Duncan Eggs stuff, but it will be interesting to see. I don't know if you can hear this, David. Can you hear this music? Where is it? Play it. Can you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is the Fill the Issues Guy theme for House of the Dragon, created by Dan Blackwell. So thank you, Dan Blackwell, for creating this music all to himself. It somehow what Antoine Thomas was saying inspired me to want to play this in the background here. So we'll play this for a few seconds here. It's distracting though. And I'm like, oh, I gotta listen. But thank you so much, Dan, for that music, and I'll be playing that throughout the evening. I keep forgetting to play it at certain times. I need to get it on the computer, but thank you for that amazing music. So we do have one more voicemail, and then we'll get into our recap.
Greetings, my lords. It is me again, Ruja, your favorite busted, or not favorite, whatever. I'm not judging, or am I? First, I would like to say thank you for acknowledging my little trick there, the button. For anyone who's curious, it is not a soundboard or a YouTube video. It is an app. I'm playing it on my other phone if anyone wants to follow in my footsteps. But if anyone does, just know that I started this.
Give him the credit. I'm going to play the rest of your message, but it's a longer one, so I'm going to play it in bits. Lady Starfall says, "Does the Walking David do a Daemon impression? Do you? I know you do a Ramsay impression, and I don't think it's far off, personally. So
It's not. It's very. You're weak, Viserys. That whole small council of leeches just plays you for their own ends. It's not far. Like, I think I could get it, but I'm unpracticed. But guys, I'm not kidding when I say one of these episodes I'm gonna have a blonde wig on in here, and we're gonna do this proper.
We're gonna do this for real. And honestly, in a second here, we're gonna be listening to clips from the episode. I bet once we start listening to Daemon's voice, it's gonna be easier for us to for both of us to do our silly responses to the audio that we hear.
Yeah. Plus the guy reading all the sex stuff.
Exactly. Oh yeah, the voice to action situation. Okay, so here we go. Let's listen to a little bit more. Oh, I just thought about that. We got the recap guy on the audio descriptions with the jerking off in the window. I can't wait to hear.
That's gonna be great.
Oh, I can't wait. We gotta get to this recap. Okay, after this call.
First, no one else. It's me. Mine. No one else can have it. No. I apologize.
No, don't.
I was a sick joke.
No.
But anyway, first off, David, you kind of have you're giving me Serial Pharrell vibes.
Ah.
He was one of my favorite characters. I wouldn't be surprised if you were a reincarnation of him or something like that.
Stand side
But,
face.
Phil, I have a question. A week ago, I don't know if you played GTA, but there was leaked footage or something that happened a week ago. I thought it was fake, but apparently it's real. And the guy who leaked it is in deep trouble somewhere in the UK, a teenager who's in trouble for spilling the beans. What I want to know is if HBO kind of went through the same thing like that, and you managed to get a hold of some sort of information from a later episode, but you'd be rolling the dice, getting in trouble just like that UK teenager, would you do it, or would you hope your own, or would you just kind of play both sides? Sprinkle a little hints.
Okay, it's an interesting question, and it reminds me of like the South Park episode when Metallica gets the kids arrested because of Napster type stuff, and like in all of that back then. Would I release something? It depends. I do get each episode a few days early. I watch the episodes new on Wednesdays. HBO sticks. I stuck my hand up HBO's bottom like, please put in, give me the video, and they give me the stuff. I begged, I kissed ass, I sucked some toes. They send me episodes on Wednesday. So, and I don't put it out there that I did because I want to keep getting the episodes. It doesn't mean I won't trash it if I don't like it, but I don't think I'd release it and risk it. Would I create an alt account? Maybe. No, I wouldn't do that. That'd be wrong. That'd be wrong. That being said, when Better Call Saul was going on, and I got a copy of teasers that were really like early teasers and early footage, and also a spoiler from the premiere that they released, I did put it out on the channel. So there are situations where I am sketchy. So it's a fine line. It depends the way I feel about it. For the most part, no, I would not do something like that. It's not my style. I understand confidentiality type stuff from the other end, and you don't want that shit spoiled because it destroys the fun.
Yeah, like me personally, like Phil knows this, I'm like so staunchly against spoilers, and so like anytime I've come into Phil's stream about like an episode I haven't seen of a show or a show I want to watch, I literally will say, hey, I haven't watched the show, I'm just stopping in to say hey, and then I will dip out. Like as soon as Phil sees it, I'm just like, all right, I'm out. You know what I mean? And sometimes I've had to leave before I even heard his response just because he was in the middle of talking about it. I'm like, I can't listen to it. Like I'm super weird about it, even though this is like prequel series and I could just read all of it. Same with Game of Thrones. There were people who had read the books and knew about the Red Wedding, and they were just like sitting there biting their fingernails waiting for me to see it. And I'm like, don't tell me what's fucking coming. Yeah.
And to someone who was saying in the live chat, what they were talking about, the caller was asking about a separate issue with the video game Grand Theft Auto, and if you're in that situation, will you leak the situation? I think everything is a specific situation. Do you have a relationship with the people that you were coordinating with, or is it something like with Better Call Saul, for instance? They did a premiere in public, and then people released details from that premiere, and I read the details on a stream. That's different than getting into a relationship with, they leaked that. There's people that's whole job is to sleep out on sets and take pictures and try to leak that kind of stuff. If that's their thing, that's their thing. So I think everything has a different place in different time. Heath Hinton leaves us a voicemail. Let's see what Heath has to say.
All right, can we get Prince Aegon, like the prince who tugs, or the prince who yanks, or the prince who drops, or something? He's got to have a nickname by now, guys. Let's just be honest. Anyway, fun chatting with you guys tonight.
Always fun talking to you, Heath Hinton. I think out of the ones you said, I think I like the prince that tugs. But I don't know. What do you think, so? What do you think? The jerking
prince yet to come?
That's good. And on that note, David, it's about time to get into my recap. So here we go, guys. We're going to get into the recap of this episode. My dog just looks at me like I'm an idiot. Opinions, call in at 7. Actually, you didn't even... I forget that, David, you're not even... Like, you can't see my video.
I have it on my phone, but I have like a 20-second delay, so I just saw you run around the room.
Bloody Talker says the prince that tugs. Vic says Prince of Jerks. We get the recap. It's time for a recap here. Here we go.
King of the testicles and the first men.
Loner says, and now we're actually finally getting to the recap. Yes, finally getting to the recap. So, what we're going to do is, first off, I have to switch to the audio descriptions. It was a happy accident because for whatever reason, one of the times that I was playing it, the English wouldn't work, and only the English descriptions would work. Oh wow, they even have it for our for the intro.
Darcy, Fabian Frankel, and Rhys Ifans, Graham McTavish, Matthew Needham, Jefferson Hall. Casting by Kate Rhodes James, CDG.
I was just reading the names.
I was reading the name, but it started it by saying like the blood rolls down. But let me skip it. Okay, so our episode starts off here. We wake up to birth or poop. I said I wasn't sure at first if it was a birth or a poop because they start off on her face like, oh, and you're like, okay, so and so she's either taking a poop or giving birth. So she's giving birth. It's all happy. Everything's going on. We got Lola in the live chat. Great to see Lola. Thank you so much for checking this stream out. And let's get into this. Play the damn episode.
Rhaenyra reclines, soaked with sweat. Her face trembles.
Keep breathing.
Okay, this isn't funny. So Rhaenyra is giving birth to a boy, and right away someone comes over, almost right afterwards she gives birth.
Woman by her feet hands Rhaenyra the baby. Rhaenyra holds him close.
Oh no. I'm sorry about the ASMR shit right now, guys.
Sweat slathers Rhaenyra's face.
You saw this episode. I'm not playing anything that wasn't in the episode that you already watched, everybody. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
holy shit. Okay, so, oh man, this opening scene was brutal. OTDA in the live chat. Thank you for OTDA. Actually, you're supposed to use your anal muscles when giving birth. Using the vag too much will cause tearing. Oh my goodness, Jackie. See, thank you for the facts. But yeah. Oh my goodness. I thought it was a sex scene opening up at first, Killmonger says. Heath says that sounds like the gushing type moment. Fernandez says, I can't watch this. Surgery, Vic and Jackie laughing. Jonathan says, skip this, man. Skip this. What are you doing?
She kisses the...
So we're skipping it. And then right away, I like how, for the most part, David, there's been a couple of moments where it's been a little different. But for the most part, one of the things I do enjoy about the show is that we've, well, to be redundant, they've shown more than they've told. In this scene, yes, we're 10 years in the future, but right in this scene, showing that the queen is requesting the baby right away to look at it, right after Rhaenyra gives birth again, tells us that Rhaenyra's having babies outside of her marriage, and the queen's questioning stuff. Like, it tells us almost everything we need to know right away, and it's a good pilot. And again, I know it's not a pilot, but it's a good pilot.
No, yeah, it totally is, especially for these new actors coming in. And that's why I said I think I like this one the least, although there was so much of it I liked. I don't want to give the impression I didn't like this episode. Yeah. I'm just saying compared to like the last episode or even the first episode where you're getting some of that drama where, like, I love seeing King Viserys lose it, like when he gets mad or when he's extremely sad and he yells out, like that scene where he yells at his small council about, like, you know, I will not be made to, you know, suffer groves that feast upon their corpses, you know, and he's like that shit is great. Unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of those scenes from the king in this episode. He was just a happy old grandpa.
Yeah, no, he seems almost pacified in this episode in a lot of ways. He's a broken man. He's been broken by Alicent being more in control of the situation and pushing on through. And do you feel bad for the character of Viserys at all? Do you feel like I feel like he's totally over his head in his position, and everyone sort of takes advantage of him because he's not the brightest human being. He's bright, but he's not
he's willfully dense. He chooses to not, like,
Yes.
everybody says about him, he's like chooses not to believe what is clearly obvious. So it's not like he's dumb. He's just in horrible denial.
Yeah, and John said it in the live chat. Viserys' reign is kind of tragic. He's he's like a tragic figure to me in a lot of ways, and I feel more bad for him than I thought I was going to after the first couple of episodes. Each episode, I feel a little more bad for how he's in a position where someone else is always in control of it. And I don't know how much of that is his fault and how much of that is the council's fault for not making the right person king, where they should have made Rhaenys queen in that situation. She was more capable for the position than Viserys was for king. Whatever. I mean, either way, I almost feel a little bad for him.
I do too. And I also, like, I know that he clearly has like an infection, or I almost thought that he had like leprosy at one point because he was having just these big lesions and stuff, and it had like this weird thing on his arm, and now his arm's been amputated along with his fingers. Like in the last couple episodes, you saw his fingers get amputated and then his arm. But it's like he looks like he's aged like 30 years compared to everybody else.
Yeah.
Like even his brother Daemon still looks young or full of life by comparison, but he's literally like just deteriorating into this mad king looking man, you know.
Someone just texted us, doesn't Viserys look like the Crypt Keeper or what? I mean, yeah, he does a little bit like the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah, and I think it's literally like the burden of being king is just slowly killing him. And, you know, and I'm honestly shocked because I thought when they did this jump and I saw how aged up everybody was, I was like, oh, well, Viserys is going to have died by this point, because I thought where last episode left off, I mean, he was like bleeding internally. I was like,
sorry, Igor just said he's turning into Riff Raff from Rocky Horror. That's the best one so far, Igor. It's tragic, so frightfully magic.
Oh my god.
Sorry. I know. Sorry.
No, you're right. I mean, he is. It's just, I don't know. I mean, he seems like such a sweet guy. That's I think the only reason that people haven't just mutinied and killed him already is because he has been so kind to most people.
Yeah,
and decent.
For this world, he seems like a good man. And again, we're not judging this by, you know, he's still, you know, a Targaryen, which by nature is a kind of shady individual. But by this world, he does seem like he's generally an okay dude. And he wants to do the right thing. At least in my approximation, he's just castrated by his own impotence, like his own kingly impotence. He can't jerk off. He's not jerking off out a window. He doesn't have that kind of Homelander feel about him. He's doing it. He's curling up in a corner and hiding, and he's like Darth Helmet in Spaceballs. Don't look at me playing with my toys. You know, he's like playing in his room with his model and stuff. And get out! I'm playing with my toys. Or Bobby Bacala on The Sopranos.
Yeah,
where he's like my train. This is my train set, Janice. Get the fuck out of here. It's my trains.
Lionel, leave me. I need to jerk off out the window.
Exactly. We don't see that kind of shit going on. Okay, so Rhaenyra heads up the stairs, and Laenor comes in and is like, "Congrats on the boy."
She shakes her head.
Was this one painful? And they lament what they go through. We get some random hellos from different characters as she's walking through, heading up to the Queen's chambers to meet the Queen, who wants to see this baby. Does this baby look like another strong baby? And it's interesting dynamic to set up the relationship between these two characters at this stage right now, and it's intense as hell. It gets the heart pumping because you're seeing it from Rhaenyra's standpoint, and she just gave birth. She just had, like her afterbirth fell on the ground while she's fucking walking up the stairs.
That's so gross. Yeah.
And she just keeps going. Like, she's a fucking badass motherfucker. She's just like, fuck that. I'm going. I'm facing this bitch. This bitch doesn't get my fucking kid. Like, it just shows up. It shows the stakes of the situation right away. Again, shows us, not tells us, which I think is important on a show like this when you're doing 10-year time jumps. You can't just have, and then David smiled as Phil waited for his chance to talk. And then it was passing over to David, and this is what's happening now. You talk, David. I mean, you just can't do that, dude,
No, it's doing a good job, once again, like you said, showing and not telling. I mean, just that simple sentence of saying, like, the queen wants to see the kid immediately, and then just watching the struggle all the way there, just trying to get to the chamber, and how she's embarrassed and kind of put on display for people. She already is. We're just kind of watching her dignity get destroyed slowly. You know what I mean?
And
okay, go ahead.
Oh no, and I was just gonna say, in the filmmaking is been great on this show. Just the cinematography and the way the scene is shot, I believe on handheld or something in that moment as you're backing up and you're feeling the bumpiness of the walk back as she's going up the stairs, so you're feeling the uneasiness of it. And I feel like those kind of choices, instead of just having static angles every situation, that creates a sort of more of a boring dynamic. And I think it works when some shows, but in this moment where they're really guiding the emotions with the characters, I think it was good to use those kind of bumpy, shaky cam type stuff as she's walking up the stairs, like a subtle shake cam situation. And again, all that stuff is all done in camera, and all that stuff to me is more effective than seeing a giant dragon. And again, I'm not poo-pooing on the giant dragon. Fucking Vhagar looked amazing tonight. That dragon scene, we'll get to that later, looked incredible, and that's fun. It keeps getting better and better. We've come a long way from Misa Jaja Binks, Misa in a movie. We've come a long way from there to here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been a long way from there to here. Or Jabba talking to Han Solo in the and I don't mean to pick on Star Wars, but that a lot of the original character models from CG characters were done first in Star Wars, or like a Mummy movie or something. I'll jump on I love Brendan Fraser too. Everyone loves fucking Brendan Fraser these days. Yeah, he's a sweetheart. I love that guy. So where's the Encino? If they could just do it without Pauly Shore, I'd want that Encino Man sequel, so we could get Sean Austin and him together again. Can we replace Pauly Shore with like anybody, but with
me,
with you?
It's me.
Yeah, you exactly. With David, let's do that. Okay. Let's not mention Misa Jaja Binks, Phil. I'm sorry. I did it. I couldn't help myself. We got another voicemail here from area code 773. Let's get into this voicemail, David.
Phil, it's Woodrow once again. This will be my last time, and I'll keep it quick.
Do it.
Because I'm pretty sure somebody's out there cringing over me, which is nothing I can do about it. But anyway, I want to know, can you and David introduce yourselves in the Game of Thrones manner? And David, can you please if you can, do a Sir Davos impersonation of when Phil says, "I'm no city lawyer"? I would love to hear that.
Okay, so I think he wants you to do like the chicken from Futurama chicken. I'm no big city lawyer, and introduce yourself. So I am Phil of House Issues. Phil, the Lord of House Issues. I'm living in Highgarden or Dorne because of the sex and the weed, and that is my introduction. Now David.
Oh God, gotta come up with something.
You could just half-ass it like I did. I totally threw that one in the gutter. That was a throwaway for me.
I mean, I could do one. I could do a very quick one.
Yeah, go.
Do I have to do it like Davos, or is that a separate thing?
No, I think he wants you to do it in my big city lawyer voice, to introduce yourself in a Game of Thrones manner. We're doing crazy improv games now. Now we need an item, we need an action, and we need
give me an item and a place, and a profession. So, hello there. I'm David of House Grayson. Our house words are "We do not forget," and I'm no big city lawyer, nothing. Only living to a ripe old age, but House of the Dragon is a good show. That's all there is to it.
So you really sound like Davos. That actually sounded like Davos.
Did it?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm no big city lawyer, but that kind of sounded like me. I say. It sounded like me. I say. Now,
I'm no big city lawyer or nothing.
Loras killing his dad in Harwin kind of helps out Rhaenyra more than Alicent. Not really sure where this dude's allegiance is right now. Loner Incognito loves improv games. I mean, essentially, that's what this whole goddamn podcast is. It's one challenge of an improv game.
Yeah, this is Tangent the podcast.
Exactly. This is we ain't got no scripts here. We don't know what the fuck. We don't know where we're going here. I don't know.
And you love it, people.
Oh, I do. I fucking love it. And thank you to everyone that's still checking us out here, almost 2 hours in here. And we're ripping through this recap here. Let's continue in here and manipulating David's time. It's been a long time since I had David for a whole show. He's sort of my go-to fill-in host when Joe Dirty Locks can't show up. I know I won't be able to grab him on The Walking Dead because he does his own reviews on his TikTok page on at David Grayson on TikTok. You can check.
You'll be able to grab me. You'll be able to grab.
I'll be grabbing. You're gonna do like quicker reviews.
Well, because I already broke my streak of reviewing all the episodes and my computer went down. I'd be more than happy just to hop on your streams and talk.
Well, let's do that because I think I'm only going to be doing 3 of them because the first 4 coincide with the last 4 episodes of House of the Dragon, and then they release it like a week ahead of time if you have AMC Plus. So I think I'm going to do it. We'll talk about this off air, but yeah, because Joe is on the IR right now, so I can't go out on The Walking Dead alone. So check it out. Even after House of the Dragon is done, for the next 3 weeks after that, stick around, and David will be with us for at least one of those, maybe all of them, popping on in to share his thoughts on the final season of The Walking Dead. I'm no big city lawyer, but Phil, you have a great stream. Thank you. House of Grayson. And I'm looking forward to, and again, I'm not going to sidetrack too much, but I'm looking forward to some of the sequel series more than the conclusion of this main series. I think they have more potential to be one-off stories, to actually tell a story. And I think that's what's important even with House of the Dragon. If you take this and tell the story you want to tell and don't try to push things out or just waste too much time just spinning your wheels, not everything can sitcom. And what I mean by sitcom is sitcoms are kind of good sitcoms made to just go on forever and never really evolve. And if you try to take dramas that have a ebb and flow and you try to sitcom a drama, it doesn't always work. You can do it a little bit, but if you do it too much, it washes it out. It becomes the final seasons of Sons of Anarchy or The Walking Dead. It just loses some of its punch.
Yeah. To jump on what you're saying, it's like with what Phil's saying is like with these sitcoms, if they go, let's say 7 seasons or 8 seasons, like a lot of them do, or maybe even 10, they peak around 4.
Yeah, 4 or 5. 4 or 5 usually, yeah.
And if they stopped at 5 or 6, that's where you get your really solid Sopranos, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. Those are all like 6-season shows. And it's because when they have enough story to fill that time, they tell it. But when they don't need it, they don't bother to stretch it out. They just make it shorter. And that's what everybody prefers. I mean, everybody would prefer, like, if this show only goes on for 3 seasons and just every episode is just high quality, jam-packed with great stuff and great acting, and they stop at season 4, nobody will be disappointed. If they milk it for 10 years and at season 6 or 7, the showrunners pull a D.B. Weiss and David Benioff and they just fuck off to go do something else, and then it spirals out of control the last few years, they will never give this series a chance again. You know what I mean? It's like this is their chance to right the wrongs that they did with ending Game of Thrones.
I agree, and just end this as a big bang kind of series because you have so many other things you can do in Westeros after this series. I want them to just hit hard, strong on this, hit gimpy strong on this, and go out strong. Give us like a bang in 3 or 4 seasons and kill it. And then go on to do something like Dunk and Egg or some of the other series. Anyways, let's continue with our recap here because we're still early on this episode. Rhaenyra presents the baby to Alicent. We'll skip around a little bit here. Rhaenyra is doing a good job. She should be in bed. They lament what the queen wants, and we set up the situation where she's sort of whispering to Rhaenyra, your kid doesn't look like you, motherfucker. We'll try next time for your kid to look like you. And let's listen to a few seconds of this.
Wrinkled and balding, beams down at the baby.
A fine prince. Sturdy. You will make a fierce...
So do you think... How do I ask this question? Have you ever been in a position where you've been willfully ignorant about something on purpose, where Viserys has to know, right? Doesn't he have to know that these are bastards, and he's willfully just kind of being ignorant for what purpose? To protect his choice of Rhaenyra as to be the queen. But have you ever been in a position like that when you actually convince yourself of a lie like that? I'm trying to think if I've ever been in there, and I don't know.
I'm sure that I have, especially when it comes to like friends, when I try to convince myself that somebody's been a friend for a long time, and everybody the whole time when I bitch about them constantly or something is going like, this person doesn't sound like a friend to you. And I'm like, well, they are. And I qualify it and I make a bunch of excuses. And, then eventually when the friendship ends or whatever, in hindsight, I go, yeah, everybody was telling me and I just didn't even see it.
Yeah.
And now once you're out of it, just like a bad relationship, or in some cases, relationships I've done that. Once you're out of it, you see what everybody else saw.
Yeah, I guess I have, if I think about it too, being in work environments that are toxic, where I'm almost in a cult-like environment in the work, and especially in the pet community when you work for certain dog companies, and certain people are like, everyone else sucks, or you don't talk to customers. I talk to, sort of keeping things in line, or like you said, more importantly, in relationships where you keep thinking this can work out. We can come back from this. And then,
right.
And then when you look at it, you're like, oh my God, how did I go through that torture for that long? Or how did we both put ourselves through that torture to try to save something that wasn't even there? So I guess I do see it to a certain extent, but in a situation like this, he really wants to believe in his daughter, and he really wants his legacy to be peace, because that's why he gets excited later in the episode when Rhaenyra suggests marrying the 2 kids, marrying the 2 families. So I think he just wants some positive legacy. This is when I start feeling bad, or feeling like, oh, Viserys.
Well, and here's what I was thinking is that he must know on some level, because I don't think they chose this wording by accident. He's like seeing the baby and he's holding him, and he just goes, you'll make a great knight someday.
Just like Robert, you'll make a good knight.
Yeah, but he doesn't say you'll make a great king someday. He says you'll make a great knight. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's like his mind, his subconscious I might be putting too much on it, but his subconscious kind of coming to the forefront, sort of saying what he truly thinks, because he actually does believe that. But, it's like he slipped a little bit. You know what I mean? It almost was a truthful thing to say, but he didn't say king, because he said that about Aegon. When Aegon was born, he was like, someday he'll be king. He didn't say he'll be a good knight someday.
People in the live chat saying true. And let's continue a little bit with this.
Rhaenyra looks up at Laenor.
If you don't mind, Your Grace, your daughter has exerted herself heroically and should rest.
Rhaenyra stands, watching Viserys hold Joffrey. Alicent steps to them, then carefully takes the baby in her arms and grins.
I seriously cannot wait to get to the jerk-off scene. I'm sorry, I'm so immature. Fucking what?
He
Aegon.
pumps. He pumps. He pumps. He pumps.
He looks to the world. He looks at the world. He fucking Aegon. Yep. CC old saying his mother's baby motherfucker. We got Santovia Major in the live motherfucking chat. Heath Hinton, Julia. This is what happens when Allison is sexually frustrated. She needs to feel loved. We got Miss Duncan, the tall. We got John. We got the bloody talker, Lunar Incognito. Everyone, we appreciate. We know this is a Sunday evening. It's 12 midnight on the East Coast. 11, I think, where David is. We appreciate all of you guys joining us this evening. We're gonna be on for a while more till we finish this recap and. Keep calling on in. I see we do have a voicemail and a couple of texts, but you can keep calling in 781-990-8509. We can actually even set it up so we can talk to you live on the air. After we're done with the recap, maybe we'll take an actual live call and risk it. So if anyone's feeling brave and wants to talk live in the air, the audio you'll hear of David and I will be really horrible, but it'll actually work. I was able to finally figure it out with my system. But thank you everyone that's checking out. I am not off tomorrow. I have to get up at 7 a.m. my time and drive 2 hours to work. But I don't care. I might not jump over to Preston's afterwards as I usually do. But I will. But I'm not ending this anytime soon. Anyways, and Rhaenyra is not doing good. She should be in bed. The king greets them. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm catching up on my notes. She walks out and she's pissed. And
Viserys steps to Rhaenyra.
Well done, my girl.
He takes Rhaenyra's hand.
I do hope the labor was easy.
I feel like why am I talking, David?
I think I could.
Seriously, like when this little recap guy, it's revolutionizing the me recapping shit situation because it's far more succinct. I'd rather just listen to what he says and then shit talk it afterwards.
Sooner or later, you may get what it looks like.
Like who wants to hear me go and then and then here we go. Here comes a recap. And then Rhaenyra walks out and gives the real mom and dad a chance.
Viserys walks out. He's missing an arm, and he goes, "Where is my grandson?"
Where did it go? Where did I drop him? Where did my arm go? Where's the rest of my body? Why do I keep losing all these things?
For all of the blind viewers out there, Viserys is missing an arm.
Just in case. So then it's the drag. Oh yeah, we get to our Muppet Baby situation in this episode. It's not a bad situation, but it is a Muppet Baby situation. So let me turn off the amazing music by Dan Blackwell.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, David needs to walk away for a second.
I'm back.
So let's continue. Allison and the king, let's fast forward a little bit.
Look.
One opens a metal container, revealing a dragon egg.
So we get the setup of all the who has dragons, who has dragon eggs. Some of the kids have dragons, some of the kids have eggs. Everybody but Aemon have a dragon or an egg situation going on. And if we can't just all get along, I had a face. Yeah, exactly, Vic. Tell her they got a rep red or black. Miss Duncan Cole had coffee on standby. Then we get the dragon crawling out, the younger dragon crawling out. Let's get to that part.
He ushers Luke in. The scarred man nudges Jace toward the dragon as the men remove its chains.
So this is one of my favorite scenes in the episode, even though I'm on record that I'm a mean, cold-hearted individual. I don't love kid actors. And I'm hard on kid actors when they're not good because I've seen good kid actors and I feel like sometimes they cast away. I like all the casting of these kids, especially Aemon and I think I wasn't thinking too much Muppet Baby, Walking Dead, Judith and her friends situation. I thought this worked. I liked the interaction. We could see one of the strong kids bonding with his dragon, getting a lesson, learning about it, and then we see how much of a pompous douchebag Aegon is as they set it up to fuck with Aemon because he doesn't have a dragon, and they pull out a pig with wings on it and screw with him, which was just a very very accurate kind of kids picking on another kid kind of moment. I thought this worked for me, David. I don't know about you. I thought this scene kind of worked.
Yeah, it worked okay. Like the kid who was giving the dragon orders was good. The pig part was, it was goofy, but it's fine. It made sense in context. I don't like the older brown-haired kid. Like, I don't know. He just kind of looks a little wonky to me. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I have a strong feeling that these are like producers' kids. Like I always say that, but I really do feel like that's what it is.
And it's a real thing that happens. It absolutely does.
Yeah, like they talk about it. I mean, like Taika Waititi, for example, was talking about like on Thor Ragnarok. He's like, yeah, so it's my kids and it's Chris's kids and it's his kid. They're just talking about all the kids that they have, and they're like, yeah, we're just putting our own kids in there. And I'm like, yeah, so what for people who really want to be there?
Yeah, so what? Nepotism a go. Oh, the pig had wings on it. I don't know if it did. I'm going that by people in the live chat said.
No, it did. It had like hay or something but it was put on it to look like wings.
Practical effects again, David. They work better here.
See, that's what I'm talking about, folks. This is what the prequels were missing.
Yeah, exactly. This is what we need.
Pigs with wings.
And just because someone said it. Play the damn clip, Miles.
You're a talker. Listening to talkers makes me thirsty. If any more words come pouring out your cunt mouth, I'm gonna have to eat every fucking chicken in this room.
Sorry, I heard John Haymaker mention that in the live chat. Okay, so let's continue here as we get a fun transition out of this scene. Oh, wait, we got more of us. I want to get to the jerking off scene, but it's a little further in.
It has eyes.
So, this is the scene that you were talking about, where we get Alicent talking to the blonde girl. I guess her daughter maybe, who talks about how Aemon will get a dragon when he loses an eye.
Do you think?
The girl glances up from the center.
Bloody Talk says, fun fact, George named 2 Tully characters in this story, Kermit and his brother Oscar.
You're right. Something's just
I love the Muppets. Okay, let's fast forward a little bit through this as we get into Viserys. So the next couple of scenes are just showing more the interaction of Alicent and establishing new Alicent. What do you think, just in general, of the aged up Alicent? We'll talk about Alicent first. I think we talked enough about Rhaenyra. Do you enjoy this performance? Does it seem like the same character to you? That seems to be the one issue I'm having. As much as I love both performances, again, I'm not poo-pooing shit. This doesn't feel like the same person to me. Rhaenyra does. Rhaenyra feels more to me like the same person it could be, but even that, I feel like it's a different person, and I don't know if that's my problem that I have to get over.
No, that's not just you. That's what I was going to say is my main gripe, I guess, is Rhaenyra's is definitely closer.
Yeah, it's closer.
But hers is also still kind of weird. The voice isn't quite there, and that throws me a bit. But then Alicent's actress, yeah, she's totally... This is what happens when the actors don't get to meet their younger counterparts, and they're cast completely separately. Like they're cast based on look. I mean, talent, obviously, but based also on do they look like the younger person. But if you don't get a chance to kind of see that younger person's performance first, then you're not going to be able to watch them pick up on their little subtleties and then bring that to your character later on.
And I want to be clear that I think both performances are good performances. They just feel like they don't feel founded in the same person necessarily.
No, it's 100% true. That's what I'm saying. Is it's like, yeah, they're good performances, but they're performance without knowing what the other younger actress was doing. And so they just showed up and they delivered what they believed to be correct or what the director asked of them. But because we had this big time jump, it's very startling.
I want to name a band Time Junk.
Time Junk is not bad. But for a misspeak, that's not a bad.
That's a good one.
But followed up by the Prince Yet to Come.
Yeah, we soon get to the Prince to Come as they talk about Alicent tries to frame her Rhaenyra's kids as bullies to the other ones, and it's Rhaenyra's kids' fault that they started when we obviously saw that Aegon is I wouldn't say he's the ringleader, but he's definitely the most Johnny from Karate Kid, Billy Zabka in the 80s bully kind of character. Like he was saying, you're a douchebag, and he's a fucking cunt. Like in the jerk off scene, he talks shit. He's like, I didn't do anything, but my brother's a dick. Like, of course I would do it. It was funny. He tends to trash him all the time. John says, I think young Alicent is very meek and innocent while old Alicent isn't. Absolutely. I think Olivia Cook's performance is powerful as fuck. And she's like playing a very strong character. And maybe that's what we're supposed to think, that in the moment we see at the end of the season, but it's hard for me to imagine that 10 years later, this is the same person. But both performances are awesome in their own ways. And I think, as David said, I feel like Rhaenyra's actress is doing it better, but the problem comes in more of the structural issues, as David pointed out, like the cadence of which her dialogue's coming out. It just sounds like it's a different person, but I can forgive that a little bit. They've got the looks, she's got the mannerisms, that they're working it. I think as time goes on, none of this is going to matter because, and I've said this before, at the end of this series, the 5 episodes that had those other actors is just going to be a footnote. These are the actors in the series for the majority of this show. For 3.5 seasons, four and a half seasons, it's going to be these actors. The 5 actors, but this is the time to talk about this episode, because it's the transitional episode. So now's the time to unpack it and give Millie Alcott and the girl who played young Alicent their flowers now for their performance and their identification. And I think David is correct as well, where it does seem like there wasn't synergy between the two performances. I don't know a lot of behind the scenes stuff if they did get a chance to talk, but it doesn't seem like they did.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing. For those who don't know, like as an actor, sometimes you'll get this from a director who has like a vision of how this is supposed to go. They will give you a full backstory and things that have happened between when the young person was done and then the older actress took place. So there's like, okay, so these are the things that happened to her throughout the years. These are like, she pitched this idea of reform. It was looked over. Viserys had his arm amputated. Here's how she reacted to it. And so this is a more matured, more jaded version of the Alicent that we saw, because she was, like 14 or something when we first saw her. And now she's, got to be closer to 30. And it's like the difference between me when I was 14 or 15 to now is night and day. So what I'm saying is, the only reason that feels normal is because I've been with me the entire time. So I've seen myself gradually change for different reasons. But skipping 10 years, that's the downfall you get, is that sometimes you skip over that important character development.
Yeah.
But on the bright side, we have the older actresses now. Older actresses are probably going to be more willing to do things that younger, minor actresses can't do. Also, I have a strong feeling that these are not going to be the main actors throughout the whole series. I think that they will eventually get replaced or killed off within a season, but because there will be multiple time jumps. I really do believe that's
it's going to be interesting to see, and I feel like it's jarring right now in this episode to a certain extent because it just happened. But like I said, it's going to be a footnote, and I think the performances are great, and I'm the same way. I was way different between the way I am now and the way I was even 5 years ago. So we're not saying people can't develop and change. It just seems like 2 unique, individual, awesome performances of 2 great characters. We got Gecko. We went from Tits and Dragons to the Miracle of Life. Why didn't Rhaenyra just hit it at least once to make a baby? Good question. I think originally that was the plan. Fewer beheadings, more placenta. We went, and let's get to a couple of voicemails here. This is from Heath Hinton.
Hey, Phil, as like a handicapped or a cripple, however you want to say it, Laris is a character that I kind of understand maybe a little bit. When you're in this situation, people tend to overlook you, and how do you overcome that? You overcome that if you're not a strong-willed person. You overcome it by doing small things, by doing things on the side that make drastic things happen in life around you, and you live off of that. And I think that's what he is. I think he's the type of guy who is overlooked, looked down upon, and can't handle it. And his way of getting that out is hurting other people and doing things. I think Laris is a very dangerous character because of that.
I agree. And
Thanks. Sorry to bother you again.
Oh, no. Don't, you're never a bother. Keep the calls coming, 781-990-8509. We've got another voicemail we'll get to in a bit and a few text messages. We do appreciate all of them. Keep them coming. And I agree. I think he's a very dynamic character because Tyrion talks about that a lot in the main series. If you're underestimated like that, you can sneak up on people. And I think I love being in that position, David. I love when people underestimate me. I like being, it gives you in sports term, it gives you that chalkboard talk. Like when you put something, we got to beat the other team. There is some element of that's true, that if you get motivated, if you think people underestimate you, you try hard. If I think a part's above me or challenge is above me, I put my all into it. You know, I can't do so, and I love that.
Let me jump in here just because I don't want to forget this. Here's how I view it. If you had the superpower to be invisible, which it seems like Laris, he could be a green seer. He might be using rats to, warg into them and spy on people.
We have seen a lot of rats in interesting situations. You're right about that.
Yeah, because we always see rats coming into the king's chambers and stuff like that. But also, if you had the superpower to be invisible, you would feel kind of godlike, like you could do anything that you wanted because nobody can see you and nobody can judge you or anything like that. Then one day you meet your match. Someone else who's invisible can see you. Okay, that's when the cowardice and the fear comes out because somebody now can match your intensity and you can't hide from them. It's the same thing like Varys and Littlefinger. That's why I brought them up. Literally, Littlefinger and Varys, Laris. I mean, that's not even that hard to put together. It's like this guy has all of these secrets, and he's using his knowledge as a source of gaining and garnering trust and power and using it to kind of Littlefinger his way up to the top so that he could probably at some point be Master of Whispers or in the Small Council or get his family to a better position. Because he even claims in this episode, like later on, like, oh, well, I imagine you're going to reward me in some way.
Yeah, no, and I think that is part of the plan. Now that Rhaenyra is gone to Dragonstone, his father is gone. I think you're going to see him in that Small Council and Otto back as well as Alicent reaches back out to Otto. Let's go to the live chat for a second. They need to do their duty to the realm and have fun on the side they failed in step 1 and skip to step 2. New Alicent, so Julia says, is completely believable to me. She's been sexually repressed and turned into a self-righteous based on her own perceived purity and adherence to the rules. I definitely agree with that, Julia. Also completely believes Otto's warning that Rhaenyra will kill her children. I completely agree with all the motivation. I think David and I are talking about it on a weird finite acting sort of level.
Yes.
But I do think the actress is playing all of those things incredibly well, just from her own unique place, where there isn't complete synergy between the two characters for me, if that makes sense. In the way that there are in some, it's a tough thing to do though. I don't think there's not a lot of examples of shows and movies that have pulled this off perfectly, in the sense of having, I think Tom Hanks in Big was one of the best ones.
Guys, I mean, it's a quite literal growing pains. I mean, it literally is. And it's like, it's going to happen because this is our first introduction to them. The next episode, the moment you're more used to them, you'll start picking up on similarities.
Exactly.
Thing,
this will not be a thing next episode. It's not even really a thing right now. It's just one of those things that's fun to talk about, to do the comparison and contrast before it's irrelevant. And after tonight, it's irrelevant because we have the other two actresses, unless they do flashbacks and stuff, which they might. In season 2, I've contended that I think because of the good response to the other actresses, we may get some of this 10-year gap filled in with some flashbacks with the other actresses in season 2 in future seasons. But who knows? I'm not gonna say who cares, but who knows who cares? It's irrelevant to a certain extent. It's just fun to talk about. Okay, so let's go to this scene with Crispy and Alicent.
Stings and sucks her prey dry. Spoiled cunt.
Crispy's gone full bitter now since he's Alicent. This guy's just going to cause a lot of trouble, David. There's no way that this guy, that it ends good for him, right?
Yeah, it's got to be. It's going to end in some Oberyn-esque fashion.
He's going out, and he's going out strong. It goes back to some fun transition off to Alicent and some girl I don't know. Alicent says it's Rhaenyra's kids. Alicent's back again. Here we go. Off to our next scene, which is the scene that we've all been waiting for.
Prevail.
Let's see how this guy describes this.
And to each other.
They trade firm looks.
Firm. Speaking of firm.
Aegon stands nude in the large arch of a chamber's window. He looks out over King's Landing and masturbates.
And to each other.
They trade firm looks. Aegon stands nude in the large arch of a chamber's window. He looks out over King's Landing and masturbates.
Do you think there's any way the actor that read that, the voice actor that read that, didn't laugh on the first take? I mean, he says that so, and then he looks out onto the world that he soon will, and he masturbates. He said it so.
Above King's Landing and masturbates.
That did not let down. It was more casual than I thought it was going to be, but it's great. Let's continue.
He cranes his head back and grits his teeth.
That needs to be a sound bite.
Sorry.
That's going to be the new Fill the Issues guy's voicemail line. He cranks his head back and grits his teeth.
That needs to be. Oh, that made me laugh more than it should. That hurt.
He looks out over King's Landing and masturbates. He cranes his head back and grits his teeth.
Whose idea was it?
He turns and falls onto a mattress behind him. He covers himself with sheets.
He got excited there for a second. And Alicent confronts him. I'm sorry. I'll not be an immature asshole and play that 20 times because I literally could listen to that section over and over again. He lifts his head. He lifts his head back and he grits his teeth. Giggity, giggity.
He cranks his head back. Can't forget the word crank.
Oh, crank. Yeah. Sorry. One last time then.
He masturbates.
I have to get it right, David.
He cranes his head back and grits his teeth.
Yep, you're right.
Whose idea was it?
He turns and
you're right, and she just gets right into it. Not what are you doing?
Even the narrator skips right over it. He's just like she doesn't go. His mother walks in and he's ashamed. It's like
Peter Griffin, nut Karis. I was really hoping he was gonna fall, says Oltorf. Fernandez, it didn't say he came or finished or sprayed King's Landing. No. The mother came in and ruined that whole situation from
ruined it again.
Mom, always ruining my moments.
You do this every time, Mom.
Yeah, every time I'm trying to jerk off on King's Landing, and she fucking.
That's why I do it at the same time every day.
I knew you're coming.
He covers himself with sheets.
I'm so ugly. Let me cover myself with sheets. So she comes in and asks about the pig, and Aegon's just a turd. He doesn't care, and he thinks it's all funny, and she's sort of abusive when he's like, "I don't care about being king."
She kneels in front of him.
If Rhaenyra comes into power, your very life could be forfeit. Aemon's as well. She could move to cut off any challenge to her succession.
He's like,
Then I want.
You are the challenge! You are the challenge, Aegon! Simply by living and breathing!
Allison grips his face and stares intensely into his eyes.
Jesus, Blair Waldorf is pissed. It
He cranks his head back and grits his teeth.
again. And finally finishes. It's fucked up. Like she is worse than her father in this situation, because she's directly physically just grabbing him and setting up this drama in the situation. He essentially, like I said, would just wake up every day for the rest of his life, jerk off out the window, drink his wine, have his fun, and be okay. She's completely, at least in this interpretation of this, setting him off and setting this situation up because she can't deal with all this shit. But I guess she's okay with the rest of it, though. Why is she just standing there like, come back later? Allison is such a hypocrite, says Julia. She could care less about her son's sexual activities, but is obsessed with Rhaenyra's. Hallie Cunt is absolutely abusive in this moment, says Jackie C. Mara Jade Skywalker is referring to the bell. I meant, we were saying, oh, the ding dong in the background. Oh, yeah, the bell in the background. Let's continue here.
You are the king's firstborn son. And what they know, what everyone in the realm knows, in their blood and in their bones, is that one day you will be our king.
She places a hand over his heart.
And he grits. And
he cranks his head back and he grits his teeth.
Get dressed.
Now she tells him to get dressed. Like, what the fuck? He doesn't care. He doesn't want to be king. He doesn't give a shit. Then we get into our...
Jump back as Caraxes soars over them in the castle. The wind whips around Daemon's hair.
I'll show it on the screen.
Saddle. He looks up at Laena while she rides an immense dragon above him. She looks back at Daemon as they fly.
So here we go. I definitely like this scene a lot. The dragon stuff. It's important on this show, and I think they've hit it out of the ballpark every time. In general, as a general thing, I like all the dragon stuff that I've seen on House of the Dragon better than the stuff on Game of Thrones. It's definitely improved. The dragons all have an individuality and a unique personality, and I generally enjoy everything that they've done with the dragons so far. Obviously, they're setting it up for some big battles. We'll have to judge it when we get into the battles, but I'm excited to see that stuff. I didn't mean to set up earlier that I'm not. I think the CG has been the animation of these dragons has been top notch, David. I got to give them the credit, and I thought this scene worked really well. It was a fun scene.
Yeah, I've got to say, at the moment, unless if they're battling or something, I don't really dig the whole like I can show you the world but on dragons thing. But I
can show you the world.
I can crank back my head. I can grit my teeth with the best of them. But I do like the dragon stuff in the show, and I also, like you said, I like how they have different looks and different personalities, and I like that they're so prevalent. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
There's not just like one or two. I like how there's got to be at least like 30 that we probably haven't even seen.
Yeah, I think there's going to be 17 total in the show or something like that. Bloody Talker left a voicemail. I will definitely play that. They all need some therapy. And yes, as we have LCH Jeremy 33 in the live chat. Great to see you in the chat, my friend. We get Vhagar in this scene, the oldest dragon, one of the OG original dragons. And huge motherfucker. I thought they did a good job with size and scope of this particular situation, especially in the later scenes with Vhagar, when we get to the fate of Laena. But I thought it was really cool. This was a fun scene with just coming off the jerking off scene. It was good to have some dragon porn going on. And then we get into all this Pentos situation. We talked about this a lot earlier, so I'm just going to yada this a little bit. The Pentos people are asking Daemon for help in the situation because he's still the king of the Stepstones, and she wants to go home. Daemon wants to stay and do nothing. As David mentioned earlier, she's trying to get him to Daemon on up. We also get another situation where one of Daemon's kids is offered to this dude in a joke, and she's like, I don't want to marry this guy. Oh, it's a joke. Ha ha ha. We're just offering you to a random old dude. And then they go on, and we get some good scenes. I'm not going to say they weren't good scenes. I think these two actors have good chemistry, and they worked well together, Lena and Matt Smith. And we'll get into their big scene at the end. And they seem to have a decent relationship. She seems to deal with Daemon better than other people do. But it's funny how he just sort of whatever's her in a lot of situations. She's like, I don't want to stay here. He's like, oh, yeah, I heard that, but who cares what you think? So we head to our drama scene of the episode. There's no reason to really listen to the audio of this because it's more of an action scene out in the training yard with the king watching. The king's watching all the kids. Crispy, who's got a hair across his ass about this whole situation. He knows that the strong guy fathered these kids. He's pissed off. He thinks Rhaenyra is an entitled. See you next Tuesday. He's all pissed off. He's all amped up and angry. And in fairness, Harwin Strong here isn't bright. Why are you hovering around these kids? Like, if he's not even trying to be secretive of it. He's just asking for this, David. He's asking to get caught, and he sets up this whole situation where basically it's set up that Crispy kind of taunts him into attacking him. Like, Crispy knew exactly what he was doing, and he set him up in this situation to fuck him up. And do you think it was intentional, David? Do you think he tried to do it intentionally?
Yeah, I think just by his mere presence, Crispy had kind of intended that he was going to say or do something. I think he was kind of ready at a moment's notice to like fight him. But then at the last minute, instead of fighting back, he just kind of let him, dishonor himself and embarrass himself. And because you even hear him say something smug once he gets pulled up on top of him. He's like, yeah, thought as much.
Yeah, exactly. Like he got what he wanted in that situation. But yes, Jeremy, it was definitely still worth it to see him pound the shit out of him. And Harwin got too comfortable. He did get too comfortable. And domesticated Daemon. I'm not sure if I like domesticated Daemon as much as I like crazy ass Daemon, but I would have liked to see a follow-up to him going to the Vale after. That's one of those things I miss in the 10-year jump. The follow-up to the last episode when that guy's like, I'll see you in the Vale when I go there to collect my inheritance. I would have liked to see a follow-up to that situation eventually.
And it might be one of those things where it comes back and, some character just mentions like, well, after all, you are Lord of the Vale. You know what I mean?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose I could take my. I suppose, brother, I could take my ancestral seat at the Vale, but.
Cole smirks. After being punched was just fucking horrible. So Crispy gets jealous, sets him up in this situation, and Strong knocks him out all in front of the king. And in fairness too, one of the Strong kids really puts up a good fight against Aegon. You can tell Aegon is nothing. He's a little douche. We do have some voicemails. Keep them coming. We're going to play them at the end of the recap because I'm going to zip a little bit through this recap. And Harwin and Crispy have these issues and all there. So we go off to Rhaenyra, and she hears about what happens in the yard and listens to the Strongs having a meeting. She hears them talking about how he's going to be killed for his relationship with the princess, and he doesn't care. They basically chastise him for that situation. Then we get the princess coming in here, and we meet Laenor's new boy, and we get more info about the war in the Stepstones. It looks like another battle. He's talking about going in, and she's like, are you fucking stupid? You can't just disappear. We just had another kid. If you disappear, it leaves me on the lurch. You have to stay with me. We're a team. Like come on. And he's like, I've worked hard for 10 years in this situation. I deserve to go off to war. She's like, no, 10 years doesn't matter. Like, you're a target. You don't realize you need to stay strong. And this all basically just leads to her having to leave King's Landing eventually, David.
Yeah. Well, and the quote that will get repeated a couple of times in this episode is a wise sailor leaves as the storm gathers.
Yeah.
Rather than waiting for it to hit. And he says that in the scene, and it later gets thrown in his face.
So next we get a little bit more dragon egg porn with Lena and her daughter, and talking about how she rides Vhagar and how she hasn't got a dragon and how her daddy ignores her. It seems like Daemon only pays attention to one of his daughters, but at the end of this episode, it certainly seems like Daemon's going to be forced to form some sort of relationship with his daughters. We get to that scene at the end when he's comforting them to a certain extent. But I hope, because is Daemon a good person or a bad person? I don't think it's clear. He's definitely a gray character, but I think he's somebody that definitely seems to care about his kid, or at least one of his two kids. And let's see if he can care about both of them. He seems like there's at least a conflict there, David. He's not a completely dark character. There's some good in him.
Yeah, but there's also some irony there that if he has two daughters, right, that he's a second son and he felt ignored, and now he's ignoring his second daughter.
It's true.
He's doing the exact same thing. So, and that could be because he sees the older one as being his chance at kind of getting back into the circle. You know what I mean? Because I feel like now, sorry to jump around.
Oh no,
now,
please, it's fine.
With the death of his lady there, he's just got two bargaining chips to get back into court. You know what I mean? Because now he can marry them in. He just has to find people who are on the small council and get his daughters to marry in, and then he could be present for all of their events. So
LCH Jeremy asked, did they explain why Cole didn't get in trouble for killing that guy Joffrey because Cole beats a guy to death with... No, they didn't explain any of that. And that's one of those problems with there being a 10-year time jump and not explaining certain situations. You'd headcanon Alicent being the queen, put her ass on the line and said, no, I'm protecting him. What he did is, and she got him out of trouble because he's her number one guy. So that's what I think happened in that situation. But they didn't actually explain it. So Daemon is outside as Lena talks about her new son to Rhaenyra. Okay, Daemon is outside. Lena talks about her new son to Rhaenyra, and Daemon makes a joke about the real dad being strong. They lament. They fight about Daemon's activities at night. She says he just stays in and doesn't do anything. What's he doing? He's not experiencing the city. She wants to go back home. She wants her to raise her next kid and all of her kids at her home base, or at least die a dragon's rider's death. She doesn't want to just die in a house fat and, giving whatever, like in this situation, eventually just giving birth, dying at childbirth. She wants to die.
She doesn't want to die fat and happy. She wants to die in battle.
Yeah. Like a Klingon.
Yeah, that's true. The warrior's death.
Yeah, she wants to die a warrior's death, which I completely understand. Like she calls it a dragon rider's death. So we get to another small council. Now Rhaenyra is leading it, and Alicent is there too, giving each other eyes. More Stepstones talk, and the king is like nonplussed about this. Do we have to fucking talk about the Stepstones again? They talk shit a little bit about Daemon, and it's a fight. Alicent and Rhaenyra just go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. She presents Alicent, I'm sorry if I offended you. We used to be friends. How about if my son marries your daughter and we both rule and blah, blah, blah. She's trying to repair the situation, and Alicent is like, fuck her. Well, fuck that. It's too little too late. You see her. We got her up against the wall, blah, 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 blah. And, it's kind of a weak-ass thing. She should have, in this moment, it would have been nice if Alicent could have let down her guard a little bit, because I think Rhaenyra was being serious. She was trying to figure out a compromise. I don't think she feels like she's losing her claim. I think she's trying to handle this in a way to not have blood. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like she does feel like she's getting closer to getting wiped out or executed because her family secrets are kind of boiling to the surface, whether she likes it or not, because, and that's why the Hand even tries to remove himself, because he sees, once again, that metaphor of a wise sailor leaves as the storm gathers. It's all of them trying to right the ship, so to speak, and leave before the storm gathers, or to try to prevent a storm entirely by uniting their houses, because that would just like buy her more time. But it's like, if they don't accept that proposal, which it doesn't seem like they're going to, or at least Alicent doesn't want to accept, then
Jackie C in the live chat says Alicent's too far up her own ass to see the truth.
Alicent is?
Yeah. I mean, you could see that in a certain situation. She seems a little too locked into her position in the argument to a certain extent, and that she doesn't want peace. It seems like she wants war. Even at the end of this episode, to jump ahead a little bit, when Loras is like, yeah, I did what you wanted. The queen wanted me to kill people. And she's like, no, I didn't like it. And she's smiling a little bit like, this is exactly what I wanted to happen. At least that's how I read the situation. I think she's definitely very culpable in her actions.
Yeah, and I also feel like she was only kind of waiting patiently for Viserys to die so that she can actually take action. Because anybody else, you could just tell, oh yeah, this woman cheated on her husband and also isn't having, all of these heirs are bastards. Even the kids feel like it. The guy has been acting crazy. He just beat up a guy for taunting him about it.
Yep.
And now his own dad has tried to resign, saying, for reasons I can't divulge, I need to get out of here. And then the king's like, I don't approve of you leaving. Why are you leaving? I can't tell you. Well, then you're not going. And it's like, and then he just goes anyway.
People in the live chat, Alicent is completely self-righteous, says Julia. Bloody talker, Alicent wants her kids to survive. Jackie C, she has chosen violence. Always sequel, says Alicent is big mad. Jackie C, exactly, she wants war. And I agree, great acting by Olivia Cook. So Alicent and the king talk, but Alicent is like, no fucking way. She's in total control, treating the king like a baby. Lionel is resigning his hand to the king. The king says, I need you, dude, don't leave. And he says, there's a shadow on my family. And Alicent, Olivia Cook was really good in this scene. The way she's just looking right at Lionel, like,
this was a good scene.
Yeah, why don't you admit it? Just fucking admit it. You know what we're talking about, like, and it's just hanging in the scene. The king is playing, and the actor playing the king, Paddy Constantine, is playing it so earnest, like, what? Why are you leaving? Oh my God, don't leave! And Lionel and Alicent are having a completely different scene going on back and forth between the two of them without words. It's really well played by all three actors, and I'll applaud. It's probably my scene of the night in the sense of just from a performance standpoint. I thought all three just bounced really well together. And she's just having a meal with the other Strongs. They talk about the back and forth, the kings. She's being very selfish and irrational, needing people on her side.
That's another thing. To me, the moment I saw her having a meal with that guy, I was like, fuck Alicent.
Yeah, she's been doing, and again, to go to the jerk-off scene again, one last time, this doesn't seem like this was the first time that they've had this kind of meal. This isn't the first time they've met clandestine and set shit up. It's happened a lot in the last 10 years.
Yeah, they're also making it, I mean, they're trying to make obvious parallels between Catelyn Stark's relationship with Littlefinger, because he's a little weasel and conniving, and Catelyn is kind of this innocent but has a little bit of a tough side, you know what I mean? But she also kind of is self-righteous and indignant, and you know what I mean? Like, she's doing everything for duty and for honor while simultaneously not listening to her own rules, just like Catelyn did. And it'll probably end up the same way.
And bastard here too, Tara. Let's continue here as we got Ethan Crocker with the super chat. Just want to thank you for the live stream. No, I thank you for the live stream. Let me spin that wheel. Bam, bam, bam for you. Bam, bam, Bigelow. Jackie C, what is it then? We want war. Oh, sorry, I was jumping in the live chat. It says, oh my gosh, 10 push-ups. I gotta go do 10 push-ups in a second here. Let's play a voicemail while I do these push-ups. This is from area code 773.
Phil, it's me. I'm sorry I lied. I told you I was gonna make it my last one, but I have 2 more questions for Dave. You've mentioned that you're not on the same timeline as Phil, Dave. Where are you from? I thought you were on the same East Coast as him. And also, I wanted to know, Dave, how long have you been doing impersonations, and how did you know your calling? How did it just snap like that? How did you figure out that was you, and how did you acquire your skills so well?
Sorry, I didn't count them out, but I did do 10. Oh gosh, David, when did you first start doing impressions? When were the first times you started, and what were some of the first impressions that you did?
Wow. Well, the very first thing you said, I'm in Oklahoma right now. It's my home state, and
Oklahoma with
that's why I am an hour, I guess, behind Phil. But when did I start doing impressions? I mean, if you want to say seriously or taking it kind of seriously and trying to be good at it, I'd say 10 to 15 years ago. But what I used to always be good at or have a knack for was just mimicking things I heard, mimicking things I saw. Like I learned how to golf from watching it on TV and then just mimicking it, and got really good from just watching it a bunch and then repeating what I thought I saw. Same thing with like bowling. So I was just like, if I could see it and visualize it, I could do it. And when it came to impressions, I just had an ear for accents, and that I was always kind of that way. So even as a kid, I could do an accent of a family member or a friend of a family member, or impersonate a teacher, really well in school. But
so your first impressions were more people you knew, like your friends or teachers or things like that, rather than celebrity impressions?
Yeah, and I also did a lot of sound effects. Like when I was a kid, like I used to be able to do like all the Star Wars sound effects of like blasters and R2-D2 and stuff like that.
Like Michael Winslow type shit.
Yeah, I was big Michael Winslow.
He's maybe one of the best vocal, like just as someone that can just make vocal weird sound effects with his voice. There's no one. I'm sure there's some underground people. He has no equal in my mind. Some of the stuff he does when he's doing like Hendrix guitar solos and shit like that. It's really incredible what he does. I'm sorry to jump on you to just.
No, you're good.
He's much more than just Police Academy. If you only know Michael Winslow from the Police Academy movies, go on a YouTube deep dive of some Michael Winslow stuff. He destroys it. He's amazing.
But he is. And I just, I think I really started working on my accents when I first saw Russell Peters' first comedy hour that he did. I think he was filming it in Canada. I remember he's wearing like a white shirt on like a pink background with blue jeans on. And he was so perceptive of different cultures and accents and stuff that I started to work on it. So I was doing an impression of his impression. And then I worked on it myself. And then the reason my channel is even called The Walking David is because I started practicing a Rick Grimes impression.
I was gonna ask you, is Rick like sort of your first big one that you did before you when from like a certain character on a show or something like that? Was Rick the first one?
Like in terms of one that was on a show that people knew, yeah. Like if it was other stuff, I think before I ever did a Rick, I was doing like Jesse Ventura and Matthew McConaughey and Christopher Walken and stuff like that. I used to love doing Jesse Ventura. I was doing Jesse Ventura earlier today. But
Jesse Ventura has one of my favorite lines: "Win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat."
Was it "Win if you can, lose if you must,
but always cheat"? Yeah,
always cheat.
When he was a heel in his wrestling days, that was one of his mottos.
But Yeah, so I started doing the Rick Grimes impression in like September, no joke, September, same month, 7 years ago.
And right around that time, did you start to get into doing like Littlefinger and Jon Snow too? Was it?
Yeah, it was literally like when I started watching Phil's show, like he was reviewing The Walking Dead. They were in their 5th or 6th season. I hadn't seen any of Game of Thrones yet. And then my friend had torrented like the first 5 seasons of Game of Thrones and put them on my computer. And so I binged it in like 3 weeks, and I found Phil's show, Phil the Issues guy, with him and Joe Dirty Locks and the Crow.
The Crow back then, yep. That was the Crow days.
So, I just started watching with them, and I, was a fan of the show, and I just messaged like you guys are doing, and I started calling in and practicing on my call.
Yeah, I actually have a couple of your I meant to bring them tonight, but I have a couple of your early messages that you left. And if you call in the voicemail line right now, 781-990-8509, you can hear David doing his Littlefinger impression. Someone said they just wanted to hear you say Carl as Rick Grimes.
Carl.
There we go.
I would never say that, especially in front of Carl.
No, not unless he's eating pudding. Okay, so she has a meal with the other Strong, with Lionel Strong, and Lionel trains Strong, and they have a back and forth. He's the king of the strong. She's being very selfish and irrational, needing everybody on her side. She's wishing her daddy was there because he'd be biased too, but he'd be biased on her side. Lionel Strong goes to death row. He gets some death row inmates. He cuts off their tongues, as we find out that the Strongs are that the other 2 Strongs are going back to Harrenhal to leave the son there because of his dishonor, his Klingon dishonor. So we get another birth scene, and it does not look to be going well. The guy comes over to Daemon and says, "There's nothing more I can do here. I can, cut the baby out like we saw earlier in the season." And Daemon said, "Will that kill her?" And he's like, "No, we're not doing that." And she hears all of this, and she's like, "Fuck this. I'm taking this shit into my own motherfucking hands." And she goes out like a fucking pimp-ass motherfucker. And she walks out of there, goes up to Vhagar, and says, "Vhagar, Dracarys my ass." Vagar's like, I almost want to play, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Go ahead.
Here we go. I'm going to play a little LML, a little Vhagar. Vhagar comes up and says,
hello there. This is Lady Vhagar.
And she's like,
what is that?
She goes,
what is that, Phil? What is that?
That's David Lightbringer doing his Vhagar impression.
Can you play that again?
Yes.
Hello there. This is Nanny Vhagar.
So Nanny Vhagar shows up and it's like, "I'm burning you motherfuckers down," or I'll burn you, and burns him. And Daemon comes out, and it's horrible. So Harwin is saying goodbye to his family. The kids, it will be a sad one. He straight up is like, "I'm gonna miss you, son." And it's super sad. And then Vhagar continues.
I just have a question for.
And sorry everybody. Hey, wait. Here we go. What's this?
Hey guys, it's Nanny Vhagar again. I told you I was bringing meatloaf, but he wanted. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. No.
So Vhagar burns her down. So we go off to the trading yard again, and after the sad goodbye with Harwin and his kids, and the kid goes to Mom, "Is Harwin Strong my dad?" And she's just like, "Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Don't ask me that fucking question." And Vhagar did look old as fuck. He really did. Vhagar sounded like Herbert from the perverted guy from Family Guy a little bit. That dragon had cataracts for sure, says P. Morton. The bloody dog, do you like Allison? People in the live chat are having their own conversation. Sorry to drop in there. Sonic, thank you so much again. one of our channel members. We appreciate all of our channel members as we have our silly little emojis in the live chat. You can get Lotus, you can get Goofy, you can get Joe Dirty Locks, Cheech and Chong, be my shit buddy, fucking dance around with me and with Joe and I. You can do all that sort of shit. Okay, so we go off to the training yard again. Rhaenyra is out there. She comes up to him and she's like, listen, we're leaving. We got to get out of here. We got to peace out to Dragonstone. And she's like, bring your dude. Every sword counts. We got to get out of here. And they go back and forth. They trade some cliches about, do you stick around when stuff's bad? Do you leave when shit's bad? So here we go to our end part of our episode. All the Strongs head to Harrenhal, and we see some shit going on. And this ending is dark as fuck as one of the Strongs wakes up burning, and
Harwin bangs on the door from the hall. Flames blaze around him. Lionel pries at the door with a stoker before slamming it against the door repeatedly.
This is like Kelly Taylor in 90210 when she was trapped at Steve Sanders' party.
Rhaenyra leads Jace, Luke, and dozens of servants and armored guards over the winding bridge to Castle Dragonstone. Later walks next to Rhaenyra with Joffrey in his arms.
And we got Lotus Love. We got Joe and me dancing in the live chat. Thank you, Sonic, for throwing those emojis out here. Let's throw a lot of love to Joe Dirty Locks that needs all of our love right now. Send him all the... We're hoping we at least get a voicemail for Joe during the final episodes of The Walking Dead. If not, the glorious return of some Joe Dirty Locks. Okay, so the Strongs head to Harrenhal. They get locked in. They burn as we hear the voiceover of Lionel Strong, who set this all up.
They pause and look up at the high ramparts. 2022.
Anyways, the guy is screwing me up there. But we hear his voiceover, and then we go into him and Allison. As Allison's like, I didn't plan. I didn't want you to do this. And he's like, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. You wanted me to do
Thank
this.
me later.
Yeah,
he cranks his head back and grits his teeth.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll pay me back. Yeah, I'm going to grit my teeth back and go, oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. So everyone... This was our episode. We're going to get to our voicemails. We got 3 voicemails, 3 text messages. But if you guys want to get your last minute calls and voicemails, now is the time. 781-990-8509. Got to thank our guest, David. But we'll get to that a little bit later. But thank you, David, for joining us. Let's go to the Bloody Talker first.
All right, Phil. This may seem a little out there, but, Laurie's the Clubfoot. He reminds me of a character from Game of Thrones, and it's not Littlefinger, and it's not Varys. It's Euron Greyjoy. Okay?
Because of the cutting the tongues out. I thought you were going to go with the obvious one, Doran Martell, and how Doran should have been portrayed with my boy behind me, Julian Bashir there. But I'm curious. Let's see where this is going, Bloody Talker.
Hear me out. Both of them are kinslayers, right?
Let me drink
Both
some
of them
vodka.
have a bunch of subjects that work under them who they've removed their tongues. And they both seem to enjoy the chaos and the killing and even the killing of their own family members. I think they're both worshiping some sort of crazy eldritch god of chaos or something who is trying to thwart the Targaryens from being able to raise Azor Ahai so he can fight the Night King. I don't know. Probably insane. But I think I'm going to get off now. Have a good night, everybody.
You're going to get off like Aegon?
You're going to crank your head back and grit your teeth?
That's what I took from that whole entire message, Bloody Talker.
Yeah, say that's how this show operates, all right?
This is what way my brain works, David. But I do think you might be onto something in the sense of both of their agendas seem to be chaos to a certain extent. Clubfoot reminds me of the pimp. He walks with a cane, says John Haymaker, silencing them all. Absolutely Jackie C. I think the cutting of the tongues is the first thing I thought when you talked about that comparison. This is area code 773.
Guess who? I was supposed to have ended my call 2 calls ago, but I just realized this. I kind of wish I asked this on my last voicemail.
Do it.
But David, can you do a Serial Pharrell impression? That would be killer. Thank you.
David.
All right, yeah.
Listen, Serial. What do you say to the god of death?
Not today. But let me say something more than that, so that it sounds like an actual impression. You know, all men are made of water. Do you know this? When you pierce them, the water leaks out.
You do. It's the way especially the way your facial hair is looking right now. I've been trying to get a picture of him. You're looking very Serial Pharrell. Like I can definitely see what the people in the live chat are saying. So
I'll take that. I'll take Serial Pharrell. Everybody wanted Serial to come back, so
yeah, I think he wanted to come back too.
Oh, grip my neck and crank my teeth. Wait, what? Wait, crank my neck and grip my teeth. Sorry, I went full dyslexic on that.
It's tough. I mean, we're going in circles here. Where is it? I think I might have just saved it to my desktop. Where's the goddamn picture, Phil? What the fuck?
Of Serial?
Yeah, I was gonna put one up to put next to you to let the audience decide how accurate it was here. How accurate this comparison is. Save image as. Save it to the fucking desktop, motherfucker. Save this shit. There we go. DDD. Desktop. Save it. 1 sec. Okay, so let's listen to another voicemail here while we're waiting for me to get Serial up.
Hey, Phil, did you say that Walking David did, like, impressions or something? Could you gonna do one? All right, like, later.
David, as always, whenever you go on to anywhere, be our talking monkey. Okay, this is a better question here. Before, what is your, out of all the impressions you do? Maybe it's Rick Grimes, maybe it's Littlefinger, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's McConaughey. Out of all the impressions that you do, what is your favorite impression? And if you can, do a little bit of that.
That's a good question. I mean, I do like. Okay, hold on a second. Let me get the face right here. While you do that,
I see it. I definitely we need the hair up too, but I definitely see it. The goatee, the hair, it's all there. Jackie C says, "Yep." Maybe like a younger version of Virgin, like a younger
version,
the younger version of Serial Pharrell. And we do
the point of virtue in this world. Shut your
fucking pie hole, motherfucker.
But in terms of impressions that I do, Littlefinger was always really fun, mainly because of you guys on Phil's show. Everybody here liked it so much. But I do love doing Rick Grimes. I don't know why. It's just kind of fun to do that one. God, I'll tell you this. There's so many impressions that I know I can do that I forget which ones I can and can't. But I enjoy doing them all. I pretty much love doing any impression that gets a rise out of people or makes people go, wow, that sounds spot on. Like, I'm just, you love the applause, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think out of all the impressions that you do, the voices are one thing and all that. I think the thing that gets a lot of people with the Rick Grimes is the body language too. You get the body tics of Rick Grimes down pretty spot on as well. So I guess now is as good a time as any. Let's get. Oh, we got a few more text messages to get to. I don't want to. I've already kept David like 3 fucking hours here. Pete's Live Music says David has the narration guy down pat. When David was doing the narration guy, has him down pat. Oh shit! I still have the picture of.
I was wondering, is that just on my end or is that still there?
Yeah, I got confused because you look so much like him and stuff. No, we got that down.
That is my picture. We all know this.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Tara says, I'm going to get dinner. That is fine. We're going to start to wrap things up. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. Antoine says, Antoine sent us some awesome images. Great artwork. Wish I could show that on here, but it's on the wrong computer. But I'll set that up at some point. Anyways, David, thank you so much for joining us this week. Hopefully, we will be able to catch up with you during the Walking Dead season. And anytime you want to pop on during the final stretch of this show, too, you're always welcome over here, David.
Absolutely. Is it still black, the screen?
Yeah, you're not there yet. Oh, we got a last minute voicemail. Should we play this last minute voicemail?
Sure.
This is from our good buddy Jay.
Hey, Walking David, is there any impressions that you're like tried to do but you could never master? And like, how long does it take you to like get the impression accurate? And how do you practice or whatever? Like, what's your method for learning it or how to figuring it out? All right, later.
Good questions by Jay. David, answer them all or die trying.
I will. Is there a way to get my camera back up?
I don't know. I don't even know why it is. Is it something I'm doing? Oh, there it is. Okay, I'm sorry.
1 second.
You're back up. You're back up.
I am? Okay. Sorry, like I told you, the one that I'm watching on my phone's delayed. So, well, like when I practice impressions, I have to love whatever I'm watching for one reason or another. So I either have to genuinely love it or love to hate it. You know what I mean? And I will rewatch scenes over and over and over again, and I will practice it till I'm blue in the face, just around the house or in the mirror or, while you're flossing your teeth or whatever the hell you're doing. And there have been plenty of impressions that I wish I could do, but for some reason I just can't quite tap into them, because for anybody who does impressions, or if you have a few in your wheelhouse, sometimes you figure out that you can do them because you're doing an impression of somebody else, and then people go, wow, that impression of Owen Wilson sounds like Christopher Walken, and you go, oh, I guess I can do a Christopher Walken then.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think the biggest example of that is how Dana Carvey did the George Bush, and then anytime anyone tries to do a George Bush, they're doing Dana Carvey doing George Bush. Not gonna dead. It wouldn't be I can't do it.
Yeah, well, and they're doing like a caricature version of the impression, and then but for me, there have been so many requests. I mean, I literally get, I would say, 200 requests a day on TikTok of people going, can you do Shane? Can you do Glenn? Can you do Abraham from The Walking Dead?
Are most of your requests on that platform Walking Dead related?
Yeah, because like for whatever reason, like I mean, I kind of brought it on myself, I suppose, but The Walking Dead became kind of my niche. So those are the only videos that do well, and so that's kind of what I've been sticking with. I'm just
absolutely
writing it out. But I mean, when Game of Thrones was on, I would call into Phil's show when I would do Littlefinger, I'd do John, I would do Sam. I would try my hand at. I did what was it, Maester? What was the one that got killed by Oberyn or Qyburn?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You did the Maester fucking what's his name?
Pycelle.
Yeah, Pycelle.
Okay, yeah. So I did him. Like I did Oberyn. I just. There's so many that I wish I could fucking do. Like, oh yeah, I wish I could do Patrick Warburton.
Oh, the putty tick.
Yeah, hey, Peter.
That's not bad. That's pretty good.
That's the thing, is that I wish I could do it, because when I hear a voice now, I've been doing it for so long, I go, I have the vocal range to do that. I just have to figure out a phrase that helps me tap into it, just like I would like an accent. Like, for whatever reason, to do an Irish accent, I try to practice the word authorities, and I just keep saying authorities.
And Casey Randy says, damn, I've been watching you longer than I thought. John Haymaker says, go on the way out. Can you do any hot D impressions yet? Any of the characters on House of the Dragon yet?
Oh, God. Well, we were
You
we
tried
thought
to
we
do
were
Damon earlier a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't think I was far off. I just
No, you're
feel
close.
like
You're definitely close. I think a slightly higher register, but you were close. The diction was right.
right. It's trying. I have to listen to them a little bit more with an impression in mind instead of just watching it for enjoyment. You know what I mean? Because it does change how you watch things. I start to just try to memorize how he says certain words and then extrapolate that so that I can make impressions and say things that the character would never say. You know.
So, everybody, thank you so much. I want to get David out of here before we're on like 5 hours here. I've had him like 3 hours here, so I feel bad. Everyone, thank you so much. Huge thanks to The Walking David. If you want to find The Walking David, I said it a couple times tonight, but you can find him. He does have a YouTube channel. You can check that out, or you can join the 60,000 plus people following him on TikTok. He just did a recent video with Rick Grimes and Daryl at a wedding. Very hilarious shit. Got a lot of burst views. Shit like that tends to get most of the big views for you when you do like Daryl talking to Rick or shit like that. Tends to be some of the biggest burst stuff that you get. And I see in your comments you get a lot of requests, and it is within that Walking Dead universe. It's fun. I saw you went to a convention to there's that guy that looks exactly like Rick Grimes, and you were doing the voice while he was mouthing it and stuff. That shit very fun shit.
But I will say this really quick. My goal, people, for myself, but also for you guys, is to get a blonde, like a Targaryen wig, and master at least like a Viserys or a Daemon so that I can do some of that for you. And they might end up talking to Rick Grimes just, because you got to have the crossover that nobody asked for, but I'm working on it. We're going to work on it.
I asked for it, David. I fucking asked for it. Last call of the night. 773, one last time.
Hey, it's me again. Hopefully this is the last time if I make it, because it sounds like you're closing up the show. But David, can you do the impression of The Walking Dead? That's Leah from The Walking Dead again.
Leah from The Walking Dead? Which one's Leah?
Leah? Well, I don't do a lot of women from The Walking Dead.
Yeah. Instead, could you give us a little Daryl on the way out here? Give Daryl, have Daryl advertise your TikTok channel.
Hi. Listen, man. I know you've been asking. I do. You gotta follow me, man. You don't, you're not one of us. We got food. Shelter. Good content. Come on.
Thank you so much, David. Sorry to make you be a trained SEAL there, but whatever. One of my bring you back to theater school. You're like, oh, this is on you. This is on your resume. Let's have you do this. Show me all your impressions, kid. Show me all your impressions. Get on the casting couch, here, motherfucker. I'm gonna touch you. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much. I feel like you're as much as your Rick Grimes is. You're most famous in that situation for your Rick Grimes impression. I feel like your Daryl has gotten has improved the best. Your Daryl, like if you close your eyes, you get that Norman Reedus. It's perfect. I was closing my eyes during there. I was hearing Daryl. I was fucking hearing Daryl. Oh shit, another one. Let's see what Jay has to say.
Hey, what are you gonna do now that Walking Dead's ending soon? All right, later.
We're gonna talk about these. We're gonna be talking about these final episodes. You think The Walking Dead is over? If you really think they're ending The Walking Dead just because The Walking Dead is ending, I got some mountains in Florida to sell you. It's not happening.
Yeah, like let's put it this way. How do I feel about it? I feel like it should have ended a couple of years ago, and a couple of years ago, I thought it should have ended a couple of years ago. So, it's I don't feel bad about it. I think if anything, people will be hungrier for my content once the show is gone because I'll be the last the last light in the west. You know what I mean?
And it will be more nostalgic and such as well. But
Right.
David, thank you so much. As I said, make sure you follow David at David Grayson, at just like Dick Grayson from Nightwing if you need the spelling, on TikTok, or you can just search The Walking David and you will find it. Find all of his Rick and Daryl and all other Walking Dead and other impressions too. He doesn't just do The Walking Dead, but as he said, his Walking Dead reviews or his Walking Dead impressions get his most views, so he tends to do a bunch of those, but there's some other stuff mixed in there as well too. And he also has a YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to that. David will be back with us sooner rather than later, so I am licking his labia right now, but he'll be back and I'll lick it some more. And David, we hinted at this earlier. You might be making a guest appearance on a what app is it again? I keep forgetting. What app is it? It's a series that you'll be playing an announcer on a rodeo announcer. Well, tell us a little bit more about that before we go.
Okay, it's a Sony-produced miniseries that was filming locally in Oklahoma, and it's 6 episodes, and it's called 1,000 Tomorrows. I guess it's based on a series of best-selling novels by a woman named Karen Kingsbury. And I got cast as a rodeo announcer, so I should be featured in 5 out of the 6 episodes. And maybe, if we're lucky, Phil will watch it and just shit all over it.
No, I'm not gonna shit out, dude. Do you want to listen to a fucking monologue I did in a play? Shit all over it. It'd be great. I'm crossing my fingers that the editing gods are kind to Mr. David, because you never can tell with that stuff. But let's looking forward to keeping your eyes out that, and absolutely when that airs, I will definitely pirate the shit out of that and watch it and talk about it hopefully with Joe, because I know David won't be able to talk about himself, or maybe Tony, and we'll break down David's performances and trash myself at the same time. I can't wait to get directed by David. Phil, this isn't the fucking stage. Bring it down, man. Bring it down.
All right, grit your teeth and crank your neck back.
Come on, theater guy. Get your fucking neck. Fucking do this shit. What the fuck? Just imagine you're jerking off on the world of fucking Westeros. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll be back next time.
Dude.
What?
Dude.